You're listening to Fanfiction Reader, where stories come alive through sound. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the tale.
Chapter 91 Volume 1 Chapter 91 Carrot Seeds. The three of them chatted in the space. In fact, Merlin and Meg also liked staying in the space. After experiencing the disaster of destroying their family, they liked the carefree place of space even more. This is a paradise. There is another point that Merlin and the others only discovered recently. They found that when they were in space, their magic training speed was much faster than outside. Meg discovered this first. Meg is only a 6th level magician, and there is still a lot of room for improvement, so she will also practice magic when she is in the space. However, when she first entered the space, she was too busy and had no time to practice. Later, when I practiced, I felt that my practice speed seemed to be faster than before, but I didn't take it to heart. It wasn't until she was out of space and practicing that she felt the difference, so she took it to heart and told Merlin about it. Merlin seldom practices anymore because she is already an 8th level great magician and has reached a bottleneck. Even if she wants to practice, she will not be able to break through that bottleneck in a short time. At her level, if you want to improve your strength, you need not only the accumulation of magic power, but also an opportunity and an epiphany. In addition, she has too many things to do now, and there is no way to practice with peace of mind, so Merlin has I haven't practiced magic specifically for a long time, so naturally I haven't noticed the difference in space. When Merlin heard what Meg said, she felt very strange, so she tested it and found that the speed of returning demons in space was indeed much faster than outside. At present, it was half as fast as outside. Merlin also told Zhao Hai about this situation, but Zhao Hai didn't understand what was going on. However, he found that Merlin and the others were practicing in space and did not have much impact on the space, so he ignored it. Anyway, the improvement in Merlin's strength is also good for him. After chatting for a while, the crops outside have matured one after another. The first thing to mature is not the radish, but the peas. The peas take 18 hours to mature. Zhao Hai did not expect that the peas would mature before the radishes. It was ripe, but he still collected the peas immediately. The peas were not only edible, but could also be used as seeds, but Zhao Hai was not going to plant them now. After harvesting the peas, 2 acres of land were left. Zhao Hai didn't do anything else, so he just planted the 2 magic peach seeds. This thing is so useful. It's better to harvest it early and don't use it until it's ready. The time is now for planting, so don't rush. There was only 1 magic peach planted on 1 acre of land, which made the space suddenly feel much empty. Zhao Hai also tried it and took out some corn seeds and wanted to plant it on that acre of land, but the result was that there was no peach at all. It can't be planted. Although there is no way to plant things on it, people can walk on it. However, Zhao Hai and the others are afraid that walking on the ground will affect the growth of the magic peach, so they would rather walk around it than dare to walk from there. 2 hours after planting the magic peach, the radish matured. This time the radish took a full 20 hours to mature because of the seed saving. However, the harvest also made Zhao Hai very happy. The radish produced seeds per acre. There are a full 80 kilograms, which is 160 kilograms, and from 2 acres of land, he harvested 320 kilograms of radish seeds. After collecting 320 kilograms of seeds, Zhao Hai immediately planted radishes on the 2 acres of land. He wanted to see how many seeds it would take to plant 2 kilograms of radish. After planting these 2 acres of land, Zhao Hai couldn't help but laugh when he saw the amount of seeds used. Only 4 kilograms of seeds were used in these 2 acres of land. It was only 4 kilograms of seeds in 2 acres of land. He now has more than 300 in his hand. It seems that he won't have to worry about seeds for a long time in the future. After another 2 hours, the pumpkins matured. Zhao Hai took another 2 acres of pumpkins into the warehouse and planted radishes. The last ones to mature were cucumbers, which took a full 28 hours to mature. This made Zhao Hai immediately put cucumbers out of the cultivation ranks. During this period, Zhao Hai harvested another season of oil fruits. When radishes were planted in the cucumber field, Zhao Hai finally breathed a sigh of relief. After calculating this, Zhao Hai already has 150 gold coins in his current space, 2 acres of cucumbers, 2 acres of peas, 2 acres of pumpkins, 2 acres of cauliflower, 2 acres of cauliflower, and 2 acres of cauliflower. Cabbage, eggplants from 2 acres of land, wheat from 2 acres of land, 15 crops of oil fruits, 28 acres of corn, and 8 acres of radish. There are a lot of these things. You must know that cabbage, eggplant, and pumpkin are all famously high-yielding crops, not to mention oil fruit trees and corn. They are the most stored in Zhao Hai's warehouse, 300 oil fruit trees. 450,000 gins of oil fruits can be harvested in one season, and more than 10,000 gins of corn can be harvested in one season. These two items have the largest stocks in space. Needless to say about corn now, Zhao Hai is not going to use corn directly as feed. Corn can be made into food, but in order to make corn into food, further processing is required. Although they now have, Zhao Hai didn't think about processing the millstone immediately. After the corn is processed, the rice bran obtained can be used as feed. If radish leaves are added, the oil fruit is processed into oil and oil residue, and the oil residue can also be used as feed. In this way, he may not need to use the corn turned into feed. Waste materials such as rice bran and oil residue alone are enough to feed the monsters in the space. Although there are no warcraft in his space now, there will soon be. 300 blue-eyed rabbits are not a small number. He remembers that when he used to play games, the average rabbit's feed consumption was 2 hours. Consume a little feed, that is to say, one rabbit can consume a pound of radish leaves in 2 hours, which is not a small amount of consumption. The blue-eyed rabbit here in Ark Continent is almost the same level of creature as the rabbit on the Earth. However, the movements here in Ark Continent are much more powerful than those on the Earth, so Zhao Hai doesn't know what the blue-eyed rabbit does every time. How much feed is needed for an hour will not be known until Green comes back. But now he has harvested a lot of radish leaves, enough to support him for a while, and now the people at Iron Mountain Castle are planting alfalfa on Iron Mountain. As long as they finish planting alfalfa, Zhao Hai can let them process corn, so that they will have feed again. After they finish the transaction with Laura and have iron, Zhao Hai can buy some machines for oil extraction. Then they can squeeze the oil fruits into oil and there will be oil residue, and there will be feed. Zhao Hai did not plan to raise too many animals in the space. Firstly, there was a problem of feed. Secondly, he wanted to leave some space and planned to catch more animals to raise. Anyway, he also saw it. The space is now upgraded and played. It's different in the game. When playing the game, you only need to farm and raise animals to upgrade. But here in space, the chance of farming to upgrade is very low. It is far less fast than bringing plants from the mainland to the space to upgrade. The same is true for ranch space. Almost, so Zhao Hai is not going to use the space to raise too many animals to upgrade, as that would be too slow. After finishing the things in the space, Zhao Hai became bored again. He looked at the screen in the space and kept walking around the 2 teleportation points. Needless to say, the castle was still busy. Those male slaves are now repairing the city wall, but those female slaves have been arranged by Moo Moo and others to grow alfalfa. Zhao Hai is still very satisfied with Moo Moo's arrangement. Because the walls of Iron Mountain Castle are not protected by magic circles, their defensive capabilities are really limited. Once repaired, they only look good, so don't worry, you can repair them slowly. And planting alfalfa is even more tiring. Alfalfa itself is very easy to live. As long as you don't care about it and just throw the seeds on the ground, as long as they are not eaten by birds, they will grow on their own. Of course, growing alfalfa on wood can't be that simple, but it's not that complicated. It's just digging a small hole in the ground, throwing the seeds in, then burying it with soil and pouring some water on it. Even if the water is gone, the weeds on the mountain must be cleared away, otherwise they will compete with alfalfa for land. After the weeds were cleared, they naturally couldn't waste them. Ju and the others used the weeds to weave some straw mats. In addition to the straw mats, Ju and the others have never stopped researching straw boats. Although they now have wood, but in any case, keeping those weeds is a waste, and those straw mats are too much to weave and cannot be bought, and almost all civilians outside can weave straw mats, and no one in the nobles uses such straw mats at all. So after weaving enough straw mats, Ju and the others stopped and began to study the straw boats with all their strength. But these still need to be done step by step. Now Ju and the others are mainly doing alfalfa cultivation. Although it is very simple to grow alfalfa, they can't stop her from planting so many alfalfa seeds. The seeds of alfalfa are very small and green, and the others originally wanted to improve them. Alfalfa seeds can only be bought from the land on the Iron Mountain, so there are a lot of alfalfa seeds, enough for them to plant all the Iron Mountain in the castle. Weaving straw mats and researching straw boats can only be done in their free time. Seeing that there was nothing going on in the castle, Zhao Hai stopped looking there. Instead, he contacted Zhao Zui and the others. Zhao Zui and the others had now entered the Carrion Swamp, but they were only on the periphery of the Carrion Swamp activities and did not encounter any powerful monsters or undead creatures. Although Zhao Hai can communicate with Zhao Zui and the others through space, because he has never been there and has no relationship with setting up a teleportation point there, he does not know where Zhao Zui and the others have arrived. He can only ask questions like this. Way to understand their situation. Zhao Zui and the others were not bad there. They also listened to Zhao Hai's words. This time they entered the carrion swamp. The main purpose was to explore the way. They were not in a hurry to go inside. There was nothing on the periphery of the carrion swamp. The powerful monsters and undead creatures can completely cope with it with their strength. Seeing that nothing happened to them, Zhao Hai felt relieved and once again switched the image on the screen to the Rocky Mountain. There were only Zhao Kai and Zhao Lane sitting in battle at Rock Mountain, and nothing happened. The undead creatures were still collecting stones, and everything was quiet. Zhao Hai's fingers were boringly swiping at the touchscreen under the remote control. His eyes were looking at the big screen, but he was thinking about green. At this moment, something on the big screen caught Zhao Hai's attention. Chapter 92 Volume 1 Chapter 92 Raising Fire Ding. What Zhao Hai noticed was nothing else. It was the ditch in the backyard of Qinshi Villa. The water in the ditch was hot spring water. Although Zhao Hai and the others had made a lot of stone supplies here in Qinshi Villa some time ago, all of them were, however, the ditch has not been polluted at all and is still crystal clear. But what caught Zhao Hai's attention was not the hot spring water, but the thing in the hot spring water, the fire tench. Although Zhao Hai had paid attention to the fire ding fish before, he never paid attention to it. The size of this fish was too small, and he had been busy with a lot of things recently, so he never paid attention to these fish. But when he accidentally turned the screen just now, he happened to see a fire ding fish jumping out of the hot spring water. This attracted Zhao Hai, and Zhao Hai suddenly remembered that there was such a fire ding fish in Qinshi Villa. He had only heard a brief introduction from Green about the flaming fish. He remembered that Green said that this kind of fish was very delicious and not cheap. The reason why Zhao Hai noticed the fire ding was because there was an extra hot spring in his space. It was just that after the hot spring was added to the space at that time, his level was less than level 10. There was no way to open a ranch and the fire ding could not be opened. Brought to the space, he has now opened a ranch. Although there is no pond specifically for raising fish in the ranch, he does have a hot spring, and the fire tench can only be raised in the hot spring. Although it is not yet known whether huoding can be raised in the hot springs of space, there is nothing wrong with trying it. If they can raise huoding, they will have an additional source of income. If they do not raise huoding, there was nothing wrong with it, just a few dingoes were lost. When he thought of this, Zhao Hai suddenly appeared in the yard of Qinshi Villa. Zhao Hai quickly walked to the ditch beside the yard. The crocodiles in the ditch were still swimming leisurely. Zhao Hai glanced at the fire dings, smiled slightly, stretched his hand into the ditch, and then opened the space crack, allowing the hot spring water and the fire ding fish inside to enter the space. As soon as the flaming fish entered the space, a prompt sound came from the space. Aquatic fish creatures have special requirements for water quality. They can be used for viewing and edible. The meat is delicate and delicious. Disadvantages: the size is too small. Improvement: fish digitization, rating, fish level is a 10th level creature, you can buy seedlings in space, become mature in 15 hours, can give birth 8 times, each time can give birth to 30 pups, 2 pups. The time is 8 hours apart, and each fish consumes a little bit of feed every 4 hours. Therefore, the fish have a special living environment. They are allowed to survive in the farm space and can use all the tools in the space ranch. Just when Zhao Hai was stunned, the prompt sound came next. The space ranch tool is connected successfully. The host can make the master tool possess the capture tool, which can capture the target creature. If you want to take it outside the space for use, the ranch needs to be at level 10 or above. Note: it is effective for all creatures when taken outside the space. If used outside the space, there is a 10% chance of being captured directly into the space regardless of the level at level 10. The Fleischwater tool can carry out single target attacks on target creatures. If you want to take it out of the space and use it, you need to reach level 10. Note: the single target attack ability is super strong and ignores the opponent's avoidance. If you want to take it out of the space and use it, it must reach level 10. There is a 10% chance of being able to kill with one hit, and the attack range does not exceed the range of the space monitor. The formation setting function is more effective for all creatures that have come to the space. Through this function, all the creatures that have come to the space can obey the host command. It can be used on a single entity or a team. The feed conversion function converts the crops specified by the host into feed. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, and then immediately dodged into the space, but he did not see the few fire ding fish swimming in the hot springs of the space. Zhao Hai immediately opened the warehouse, and sure enough, a picture of a fire tench appeared in the warehouse, with the word 5 written underneath. It seemed that he had just collected 5 fire tench fish in the space. Zhao Hai immediately put these few fire ding fish into the hot spring in the space. Although the temperature in the hot spring in the space was very high, it seemed to have no effect on the fire ding fish, and they swam happily inside. Zhao Hai immediately opened the warehouse again. There are a lot of things in his warehouse now, and there are hundreds of thousands of caddies of radish leaves. You must know that he has planted so many radishes and the radish leaves have been kept useless. The amount he has kept until now is huge. Not a small amount. Zhao Hai was not polite and directly converted 1,000 kilograms of radish leaves into feed and put it into the hot spring. Zhao Hai really wanted to see what it would be like when put into the hot spring. Zhao Hai had just converted the radish leaves into feed when he saw some red things suddenly appeared in the hot spring. Zhao Hai couldn't help, but was stunned and slowly walked to Wen Er's side. Only then did he realize that there were actually many red things in the hot spring. There are some red water plants. The color of this water plant is very beautiful, fiery red, and it is constantly swaying with the fluctuation of the hot spring water. Among the fire-colored aquatic plants, the fire tench was swimming continuously and took a bite of the aquatic plants from time to time. As soon as he saw this, Zhao Hai immediately understood that this was the feed. Zhao Hai still agrees with the method of putting feed in space. They convert the feed into a living thing and then let the fish eat the grass by themselves. This method is really good. Just as Zhao Hai finished doing this, Merlin and Meg had already come out of the villa. When they saw Zhao Hai standing by the hot spring, they both came over. Before they could say anything, they had already seen the changes in the hot spring. There used to be no life in the hot spring, but now there are water plants and fish in the space. Of course, this change cannot be hidden from the two of them. They both looked at the hot spring in confusion. Merlin said curiously, "Master, this what's going on?" Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, "It's nothing. I collected a few fire tench from Kinshi Villa. These aquatic plants are the feed for the fire tench." When Merlin heard what Zhao Hai said, he couldn't help but be stunned. He turned his head and glanced at the fire tench in the hot spring, and then said with great joy, "Great, we can raise fire tench here, then we have another stable one. Income." Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, "Yes, this is a great thing, and I forgot to tell you that this fire tench can grow into a big fish in 15 hours and start giving birth. Each fish can give birth to 3 babies at a time. 10 small fry are produced every 8 hours and can be produced 8 times in total." Merlin was stunned for a moment, then overjoyed. She never thought it would be like this. You know, the fire tench is very famous on the mainland, because this kind of fish is very difficult to raise. Even if there is a hot spring, it is difficult to grow it on a large scale. Breeding, precisely because of this, has always been in high demand on the mainland. It is difficult to raise tessels, not only because they only grow in hot springs, but also because they are very picky about their food. They do not eat ordinary things, and they are also very easy to get sick, so there are very few fish of this kind. The reason why there are still fire-ding fish alive in the manor is because few people come to the manor, the hot spring water is not polluted, and the most important thing is the tree in the manor. The tree in the manor is very famous on the mainland, called the ginkgo tree. This kind of tree grows very tall, and this kind of tree does not have high requirements for soil quality. As long as there is a little soil, they can grow naturally. Although this kind of tree also bears white fruit, but the fruit is not delicious at all, very bitter, and the fruit is very small. Although the croakers are very picky about what they eat, the roots of the ginkgo tree are one of their foods. There is a ginkgo tree planted in the manor, because the tree is very large and has a very strong root system. Now, some of the roots have grown into the ditches of the manor and naturally become food for the firewood, so the firewood fish in the manor can survive. However, because it was too cold in the manor in the winter, many of the fire tench fish were frozen to death in winter, so the number was never large and the businessmen did not cultivate them, and finally took advantage of Zhao Hai. It is precisely because the fire tench is difficult to raise, so its price is also very high. Because the fire tench does not grow very big, the longest is only a dozen centimeters, and the weight is only 2 taels, but it is such a fire tench, if you take it to the mainland and sell it, you can buy at least 2 gold coins, and it is still priceless, because the fire tench produced in general is directly supplied to the royal family, and other people cannot buy it even if they have money. If you say yaoguo and rice bamboo are the favorites of ordinary poor people on the mainland, then croaker is the favorite of the nobles on the mainland. No matter how many crocodiles you have, you will never worry about selling them. Zhao Hai didn't know much about this kind of thing. Adam had eaten scallops before, but rarely, only a few times, so he didn't know much about scallops. He didn't know, but Merlin knew that the fire tench was not an ordinary thing. If the fire tench were raised, their income would be greatly increased. It would be much faster than growing radishes or oil fruit trees. It is precisely because he understands this truth that Merlin was so happy when he heard Zhao Hai say that fire ding fish can be raised in space. You must know that on the mainland, he has only heard of a few places where fire ding fish can be produced, and these places do not rely on people to raise bonito fish, but rely on the natural growth of bonito fish. And those places are the fiefdoms of several famous nobles on the mainland, so ordinary people cannot eat bonito fish at all. And those big nobles also made a lot of money by relying on the fire ding fish. Even the royal family is jealous of those fire ding fish. However, those big nobles are all old nobles, so even the royal family can't. Nothing can be done to them. Zhao Hai had arrived at Qingxi Villa before, and when he saw the hot springs, he thought about raising fire tench to make a fortune. However, at that time, they didn't know about the situation at Qingxi Villa. Later, when they found out, he gave up on raising fires at Qingxi Villa. The idea of a tench can now finally be raised in space. Merlin looked at the crocodiles in the hot spring and said happily, "Great, that's great. As long as we can raise crocodiles, we don't have to worry about money anymore." Chapter 93 Volume 1 Chapter 93 The enemy is here. Zhao Hai smiled and said, "Grandma Malin, I don't plan to raise too many fire dinghies. If this kind of fish appears in the market in large quantities, it won't be valuable, right?" Zhao Hai's words were like a basin of cold water, making Merlin calm down instantly. Merlin was very clear about the price of fire tench on the mainland. It was precisely because she knew that she thought more about it than Zhao Hai. Zhao Hai just thought that too many dingoes should not appear in the market, otherwise the price would be affected. But what Merlin thought about was that if people knew that the Buta family could breed tinging fish, they would immediately the whole family will be wiped out. The temptation of the fire tench is too great. Merlin had a sullen face, and then said after a while, "Young master is right, but master, we must not let people know that this fish is related to our Buta family, otherwise we will be doomed. This kind of fish has a price, but no market on the mainland. Is a tool used by the big nobles to make money for themselves. If those people know that we can raise this kind of fish, they will definitely get rid of us at all costs, so we must be careful." Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Don't worry, Grandma Merlin, I will definitely be careful. In all our transactions with Laura and the others, we use the identity of Black Magician, so that no one will doubt us, and now I have let Zhao Zui and the others go catch the monsters in the swamp. When there are more monsters, the black soil wasteland will be safer." Merlin nodded, then sighed and said, "Nowadays everything on the mainland cannot be done without money. Even the old nobles are trying to make money desperately. Our Buta family may be hiding here in the black wasteland. It's still a good thing. As long as we don't let those people know that we have the fire tench in our hands, we should be safe for the time being." Zhao Hai also nodded and said, "Yes, it might be a good thing for us to hide in the black wasteland. It would be best if everyone forgets our existence." Merlin nodded, but then sighed and said, "I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Some time ago, there was an outbreak of monsters and undead creatures in the swamp. People outside must have noticed the situation there. But I believe we have been out for a while. I believe they have already seen it. And when they see us disappear, we don't know what kind of actions they will take." When Zhao Hai heard what Merlin said, he couldn't help but frowned and said, "Would it be dangerous for Moo Moo and the others to stay at Iron Mountain Castle?" Merlin shook his head and said, "Probably not. The young master left those undead creatures there to watch. Nothing should happen. Many undead creatures are very sensitive to the energy of human flesh and blood. If someone really wants to go to Iron Mountain, the castle will definitely be discovered by them in advance, and it won't be too late for us to make preparations then." Zhao Hai nodded. "It seems that this is the only way to go now. In any case, Taishan Fort is also their route. It is impossible for them to never go back to Taishan Fort just to avoid those people. That would be too unfair. Realistic. If Zhao Hai didn't have space, there would be no regrets in giving up Taishan Fort. But if he had space and could improve the land, Taishan Fort would be too important to Zhao Hai and the others." The two chatted for a while and then returned to the villa to rest. Anyway, there was nothing going on in both places now, so Zhao Hai was not in a hurry and just stayed in the space. Zhao Hai really likes to stay in space. First, because the design of the space villa is closer to the villa on Earth. He feels very comfortable living here. Second, because Zhao Hai can do a lot of calculations in space. He can control everything in this space. When Zhao Hai felt that he was staying in the space, he did not feel that his whole body was weak, but as soon as he left the space, that feeling would disappear again. Zhao Hai didn't like that feeling. There is no difference between day and night in the space. The sky here is always the same color. If Zhao Hai wants to know whether it is dark or day outside, he has to know it through the screen. At night, Zhao Hai still called the wood and stones to the villa to rest, and the castle was left to the slaves. Anyway, there was food and drink there, and there was enough firewood, so it was not bad to live there. In fact, those slaves quite like living outside. Although living in the space is very comfortable, when they think of sleeping next to Zhao Hai every day, maybe when they are still sleeping, Zhao Hai will be up, and I felt a lot of pressure in my heart, and it was not as comfortable as living in the castle like now. Zhao Hai is also always paying attention to the situation of the magic peach. Fortunately, the growth of the magic peach is very gratifying. The growth of this kind of magic peach tree is very different from the peach tree in Zhao Hai's impression. This kind of magic peach tree is not it is very tall, but the whole tree looks crystal clear, as if it is carved from crystal, very beautiful. Looking at this small magic peach tree, Zhao Hai couldn't help but sigh. There really are treasures in this space. Not to mention the powerful ability of this magic peach tree, even its appearance is quite gratifying. Good stuff. Merlin and Meg also paid great attention to this magic peach tree. This magic peach tree was really too important to them and they couldn't help but pay attention to it. At night, Zhao Hai harvested and planted radishes for another season. Now he has 14 acres of radishes in his hands. With these radishes, even if Laura comes back now, Zhao Hai, you can also trade with them immediately. Once you collect the radishes, there will be nothing to worry about. Now the fastest things to harvest in the space are the radishes and the fire tench, then the magic peach, and finally the oil fruit tree. The oil tree matures the latest, and its price is really not high. However, as Zhao Hai calculated before, the demand for this kind of oil tree fruit is too great. Although the price is not high, it is a long-term development. Buy and sell. The fire dingyu is the most valuable, but Zhao Hai and the others only dare to take a small amount, not too much, otherwise it will definitely attract people's attention, and they will be close to death. Although radish is also a popular dish, it is a magic vegetable after all. Although ordinary people will buy a little to try it, only nobles or big businessmen can really eat it for a long time. After all, ordinary people cannot eat it every day. Eat carrots. Therefore, although he may buy more radishes than diced fish, in general, he cannot buy too many, because that would have a great impact on the entire radish market, and he would only lose in the end. When Zhao Hai was sitting by the magic peach tree and sighing, suddenly his soul fluctuated, and then Zhao Qian's voice came. Master, someone is going to make trouble at Rock Mountain. Zhao Hai was stunned. Zhao Qian was sent out by him to monitor those who were watching them. He didn't have much hope. Those people had been watching them for so many days, but only Zhao Qian made a move. Obviously those people were I don't want to be like Zhao Hai, but now it seems that someone can't keep calm. Zhao Hai immediately asked, is the news accurate? Zhao Qian's voice came, accurately, they are able to take action. They are gathering at Luanxi Mountain. They may take action tomorrow night. Zhao Hai nodded and said, how is your strength? Zhao Qian said, 3 magicians, 3 high-level warriors, 300 intermediate warriors, and 100 dead warriors. Among the 3 magicians, one is a light magician. Light magician? Zhao Hai murmured and repeated, I didn't expect that there is a light magician. It seems that these guys have really worked hard. By the way, can you find out who they are? From that force? The reason why Zhao Hai said this is because there is a saying on the mainland that light magicians are the nemesis of black magicians. If black magicians are the most disliked people on the mainland, then light magicians are the most disliked people. A popular group of people, light magicians usually wear neat white magic robes, always have a smile as warm as the spring breeze on their faces, and emit dazzling light magic in their hands, which can heal people's injuries and can also be used to attacking the enemy is almost a representative of the perfect magician. Zhao Hai doesn't know whether he is a perfect magician, but it is true that light magicians can restrain black magic. If a light magician of the same level goes against a black magician, the black magician will definitely suffer. But to say that light magic can completely restrain black magic, that is not necessarily true. Just like the 5 elements are mutually reinforcing each other, water can restrain fire. Water can naturally restrain fire. But if you only have a glass of water and want to put out a car of fire, that is impossible, as the saying goes, it is a drop in the bucket. Your light magic is stronger than black magic, so you can naturally restrain it. Otherwise, it is the light magic that will be restrained. But you have to admit that on the mainland, the best way to deal with black magicians is to use light magic. Even if the level of the light magician is not very good, it will bring great harm to the black magician. Trouble, and Zhao Hai's external identity is a black magician. If those people want to deal with them, finding a light magician is the most correct decision. From this point, it can be seen that the other party really wants to kill Zhao Hai and the others at once. 3 magicians, 3 high-level warriors, plus 300 intermediate warriors, and 100 dead warriors. Such a group of people, their fighting power is not weak at all. Even the former undead mercenary group, if they encounter such a group of people, they can only go around. But now Zhao Hai is not afraid of them. The only one who is a little troublesome is the light magician. But Zhao Hai is not going to just wait here for someone to attack them. He can remember a saying, offense is the best defense. This is also an opportunity. Zhao Hai has never known who wants to deal with them. If the enemy does not take any action, then they will never know what the opponent is like. Now, the opponent has started to move. You can follow the clues and find those guys. Chapter 94 Volume 1 Chapter 94 Ambush. When Zhao Qian heard that Zhao Hai wanted him to find out which force those people were from, he couldn't help but said, "Master, I'm afraid this won't be easy. They won't say that they are from that force, and the other party also has a large number of dead soldiers. I don't have them. It's too close to their camp, and because of my physical condition, I can't sneak in. I'm afraid it will be difficult to find out anything." Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Okay, don't hesitate to ask where they will stay tomorrow. As soon as you confirm where they will stay, tell me immediately." Zhao Qian responded, but there was no sound anymore. Zhao Hai immediately turned around and entered the villa. As soon as he entered the door of the villa, he immediately said loudly, "Grandma Malin, Grandma Malin." Merlin was resting in the villa. When he heard Zhao Hai shouting so urgently, he quickly walked out and said to Zhao Hai, "Master, what's the matter?" Meg also heard the sound and walked out of her room. Just now she was meditating and was interrupted by Zhao Hai's cry. Now Meg is thinking of ways to speed up her strength. She wants to have stronger power to protect Zhao Hai. When Zhao Hai saw Merlin coming down, he immediately went up to him and said, "Grandma Merlin, Zhao Qian just sent a message saying that someone is coming to Rock Mountain to deal with us. And there are quite a few of them. 3 magicians, one of whom is a light. There are magicians, 3 high-level warriors, 300 mid-level warriors, and 100 dead warriors, who may attack Bluestone Villa tomorrow night." When Merlin heard what Zhao Hai said, there was no shocked expression on his face. Instead, there was a flash of murderous intent in his eyes, and then he asked, "Can you find out their identities?" Of course, Merlin also followed Adam's father to the battlefield. People, they have been holding their breath for a while, and now someone is messing with them. Even if Merlin has a good temper, she can't stand it. What's more, she is an 8th-level great magician. Such a being naturally has her own dignity. Do not allow others to offend. Zhao Hai shook his head and said, "We can't find out because there are dead soldiers. Zhao Qian doesn't dare to approach, and he is an undead creature now, and it is impossible to sneak in, so it is difficult to find out who those people are from that force, but I let him pay attention to the movements of those people. It is best to find out where those people will stay tomorrow. I am going to go there first and ambush them." Merlin was stunned when she heard what Zhao Hai said, but then she nodded immediately and said, "This is a good idea, but the power in our hands is still too small now. I think we will call Xiao Zui and the others. You have to come back, and those people may not take action tomorrow. They may wait until the old man comes back before taking action. Otherwise they will not be relieved if such a master as the old man is left outside." Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, and then he immediately thought of this, but his expression changed and he said, "Grandma Merlin, have they sent someone to deal with Grandpa Green? If Grandpa Green doesn't know, will you suffer a loss?" Merlin smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry, young master. In fact, when the old man followed the general a few years ago, he specifically learned the tricks of the dead soldier, and he is very clear about the ways of that trick. Otherwise, he would not be able to enter the palace at night. Don't worry, he will definitely come back." Only then did Zhao Hai feel relieved, and he immediately said, "Okay, I'll call Xiao Zui and the others back right away, and let those slaves stay in the space for 2 days." Merlin nodded and said, "Let Xiao Zui and the others come back immediately. As long as we know where those people are going to stay, we can make some preparations in advance." Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Then I'm going to call someone. Grandma Merlin, you can rest." Merlin nodded and turned back to her room. She was also going to take a good breather in the past 2 days to let herself stay in top shape and take care of those people. After Zhao Hai returned to the room, he immediately sent a message to Xiao Zui and the others, asking them to bring people back immediately. However, he did not disturb the slaves who were resting in the castle now. He planned to wait until the next day. Ask those slaves to come into the space. Anyway, Iron Mountain Castle is very safe now and nothing will happen. Early the next morning, Zhao Hai asked Mu Mu and the others to organize and bring all the slaves to the space, and also took Xiao Chong and the others back to the space. However, there is still no news from Zhao Qian. It seems that he still has not been able to finally determine where those people have settled down. However, Zhao Hai was not in a hurry when he arrived. He knew that the other party would definitely wait for Green to come back before taking action, so he had nothing to worry about. At noon, Zhao Qian sent news telling Zhao Hai and the others that those people were planning to settle in a canyon behind the south side of Luanshidu Mountain. As soon as he received the news, Zhao Hai immediately asked Zhao Qian to return to Rock Mountain. He wanted to go to the canyon to have a look. but he believed that there must be someone watching outside Kinchi Villa, and there were no greens among them. And Zhao Qian himself could get out of Rock Mountain without anyone noticing, so he could only recruit Zhao Qian back. Soon Zhao Qian appeared here in Rock Mountain. It can be said that Zhao Qian's strength was not weak in the past, but what they learned was completely different from ordinary warriors. Their most important thing was to hide their bodies and kill with one strike. He mainly focuses on martial arts like this, and the fighting spirit he learned is also the most convenient kind of fighting spirit to hide his aura. The fighting spirit that is best at hiding aura in the world is the dark attribute fighting spirit. Since Zhao Qian became an undead creature, his entire body has become dark attribute, which makes it easier for him to hide his aura. It can be said that he is now much stronger than those trained dead soldiers. When Zhao Hai saw Zhao Qian coming back, he immediately called him into the space. As soon as Zhao Qian entered the space, he saluted Zhao Hai. Zhao Hai waved his hand and said, "Okay, don't worry, there are many more of those people. How long will it take to reach that canyon?" Zhao Qian said immediately, "We'll be there when it gets dark." Zhao Hai nodded, casually handed the evil spirit staff in his hand to Zhao Qian, and said, "You take this staff out, and immediately go to the canyon they are going to. There is nothing else to do." Zhao Qian responded, and then the evil spirit staff became only half a meter long, and then Zhao Hai sent him out of the space. Zhao Qian immediately rushed to the canyon where those people were going. This is one of the benefits of the space upgrade. This evil spirit staff is a portable space. Although it is bound to Zhao Hai and cannot be used by others, it is still okay for Zhao Qian to carry it around. This is equivalent to you can let Zhao Qian leave with all the people in the world. Although in the past, Zhao Hai could sit in the body of the alien and then enter the space, and the space would follow the alien, but don't forget that it requires a place, such as the body of the alien, or in a carriage, so that Zhao Hai can entering the space, and now, all it takes is one person holding the evil spirit staff. It doesn't have to be that troublesome at all. Mei Lin always stood by Zhao Hai's side. Although she didn't understand why Zhao Hai handed the staff to Zhao Qian, she didn't ask any more questions. She believed that Zhao Hai must have done it for a purpose. Merlin and the others still knew a little about the ability of the evil spirit staff. Zhao Hai had already told them when he changed the staff. It was because they knew, but they only knew that this staff could use all abilities in the space, but little did he know that this staff was actually a portable space. As soon as Zhao Qian left the space, Zhao Hai immediately entered the room, turned on the screen, looked at the images on the screen, and saw that the environment on the screen was constantly changing. Merlin understood immediately. After being in space for such a long time, she always followed Zhao Hai in and out. She also understood some of the rules of space. The surrounding environment will not be displayed randomly on the space screen. You will only display the information to enter. That point in space is the environment 500 meters from the center. It is precisely because of this that the image on the screen generally does not move, but now the image does seem to be in a hurry. This proves that the point entering the space is moving, which means that Zhao Hai giving the staff to Zhao Qian is equivalent to letting Zhao Qian take the entire human space to that canyon. As soon as he saw this situation, Merlin stopped worrying and sat there quietly watching the images on the screen. Moo Moo and the others were also sitting next to them. You must know that they have naturally been busy on the mountain since they arrived at Rock Mountain. I haven't visited other mountains yet, only Green has been there, and it's not too far away. Zhao Qian is very fast and his progress can be clearly seen on the screen. Unlike ordinary warriors, Zhao Qian's way of advancing is very strange. He does not walk in a straight line, and the road he chooses is also very strange. It is usually in places that are difficult to see, or in places that are easy to hide. The shadow of the body. It stands to reason that it is difficult to move fast in this way, but Zhao Qian's speed was not slow at all, and he had already got into the mountains in a short while. Once entering the mainland, Zhao Qian was even more at home in the mountains, moving quickly in the mountains. The screen moved even faster, and some people's eyes could no longer keep up. Zhao Hai felt a little dizzy. He closed his eyes and opened them after a while. However, this time he was not looking at the screen. Instead, he stood up and walked out. Merlin and the others were in the same situation as Zhao Hai. They were also a little dizzy and didn't dare to look at the screen now. When Zhao Hai stood up, Merlin immediately said, "What's wrong, young master?" Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, "It's okay, Zhao Zui and the others are back. I didn't expect these guys to come back so fast." Zhao Zui and the others had entered the carrion swamp before and had been exploring the outside of the swamp. Therefore, when Zhao Hai asked them to come back, although they rushed back immediately, they were still not as fast as Moo Moo. They did not return until now. Arrive at the castle. Zhao Hai was not polite and directly took them back into the space. This time Zhao Zui and the others did not gain much. This time they went just to explore the path and did not catch the undead creatures of Warcraft, so their strength was also limited. No increase. Chapter 95 Volume 1 Chapter 95 Once and for all, Zhao Hai did not ask Zhao Zui about their situation in the carrion swamp. Now was not the time. There would be a chance to ask about this kind of thing in the future. Now they were busy with other important matters. More than 2 hours later, Zhao Qian had climbed over the mountain and arrived at the canyon he was talking about. The location of this canyon was very good. It was between two mountains. The terrain was flat and there was a small stream flowing in the middle. Best place to camp. However, this is not the best place for an ambush. The terrain is flat and there is no place to hide. For those who want to ambush, this kind of place does not have the qualifications for an ambush. But for Zhao Hai, any location can become an ambush site, because he can have Zhao Zui and the others appear in the canyon in an instant without any need for a hiding place. Zhao Hai and Mei Lin came out of the space and carefully looked at the terrain in the canyon. There was really nothing interesting to see here. It was obvious that the other party chose to settle here because they thought it was not the right place at all. A good place for an ambush, so I chose this place. Merlin had been on the battlefield and had a certain understanding of things on the battlefield, so she took a look at the terrain and knew that the people who came to attack them this time must be skilled in battle formations. Such people would not be easy to deal with. If the masters who come to deal with Zhao Hai and the others do not have a unified command and cannot fight like an army, then Zhao Hai and the others can easily kill those people. After all, the power in their hands is not weak now. But if those people have unified command and are a commander with rich combat experience, then it will not be easy for them to destroy those people. After all, those people are not weak in strength. A plate of loose sand and a fist are completely two concepts. After looking at the terrain, Zhao Hai and the others returned to the space. Anyway, now that they are here, they just need to wait patiently. Zhao Hai and the others sat in the living room of the villa and watched the images on the screen. At the same time, they called Zhao Zui out and asked about the situation in the carrion swamp. However, the news brought back by Zhao Zui made Zhao Hai a little disappointed, but it was also expected by Zhao Hai. Now Zhao Zui and the others have just entered the edge of the carrion swamp, and they have not really seen the power of the carrion swamp, and there are very few undead creatures and monsters there. The most important thing is that there are no plants there. The area where Zhao Zui and the others are now moving is simply a huge muddy pond. It takes a lot of effort and speed for undead creatures like them to walk on it. Very slow. It can be said that the corpse swamp that Zhao Zui and the others are now exposed to is just the first test of the swamp. Fortunately, the undead creatures who followed Zhao Zui and the others were originally from the corpse swamp, although they are now taken in by Zhao Hai. However, these undead creatures have not forgotten all the past things like Zhao Qian. These undead creatures still know the things in the carrion swamp very well, so although it is a bit laborious for them to walk, they do not have much trouble. These undead creatures have been living in the carrion swamp, and moving there has become an instinct for them. They were born here, grew up here, died here, and came back to life after death. They are still here, and it is said that the carrion swamp is the home of those undead creatures, their home for the rest of their lives. This is the power of the carrion swamp. It can turn the creatures that died here into undead creatures and slowly upgrade those undead creatures. This kind of ability is only available in the carrion swamp on the mainland, even for demons. There is no such ability in the abyss, because people have always believed that the demon abyss is connected to the demon realm. The reason why the people there have immortal life activities is because the undead creatures there are all from the demon realm. It is precisely because the carrion swamp can continuously produce undead creatures that the carrion swamp becomes stronger and stronger. Thousands of years ago, I heard that some people could fully recover from the carrion swamp, and they could also stay at home for the rest of their lives. But now, no one dares to come to the carrion swamp. It is precisely because of this that Zhao Hai asked Zhao Zui and the others to be more careful and would rather explore the road first than cause trouble. There must be something special about the carrion swamp where dead animals can be turned into undead creatures. Moreover, it can make it impossible for so many masters in the world to get out alive. It's not all about poison. Zhao Hai, I don't want Zhao Zui and the others to die here. Although Zhao Zui and the others are called undead, they are not really immortal. Although Zhao Zui and the others did not gain anything this time, they have already gained some understanding of some of the terrain outside the carrion swamp. They have found a few easier roads. When things here are over, they will get ready to take a look deep into the carrion swamp. After asking, Zhao Hai put Zhao Zui and the others away, sat in the living room and looked at the screen quietly, without speaking for a while, but Merlin and the others noticed that Zhao Hai's attention was not on the screen at all. It seemed that he was thinking about what Zhao Zui and the others said. Merlin said to Zhao Hai in a deep voice, "Young master, although Zhao Zui and the others did not gain much this time, they did not lose anything. There is already a corpse swamp. If it is really so easy to solve, it does not deserve to be called the 5 great Jedi in the mainland." Zhao Hai was suddenly brought back to his senses by Merlin's words. He smiled slightly and said, "No, I don't blame Zhao Zui and the others. They did a good job. I was just thinking about another thing. What does the carrion swamp mean to us? It is a big threat. If we can't solve this threat, there will always be a powerful threat in the black soil wasteland. Whether we want to farm or raise animals, it is impossible for us to succeed, so it's best to think of a way to deal with this threat." Merlin frowned and said, "This is simply impossible. After all these years, no one has ever dared to say that they have conquered the carrion swamp. That is a forbidden area. There is no way we can solve this problem." Zhao Hai frowned and said, "No one has ever conquered, but we have to try. Those people have not conquered because they do not live here in the black soil wasteland, but we have to try because we are too far away from the carrion swamp. It's close." Merlin didn't say anything anymore. He knew that what Zhao Hai said was right. The reason why those people did not conquer the carrion swamp was because it was too dangerous and because no one lived here. Even if they are in danger, there is no threat to them, and there is no personal pain. Those people will naturally not use their full strength, but they are different from those people. If they cannot handle the matter in the carrion swamp, then the Buddha family will never don't even think about developing it. Even if Zhao Hai can improve the land, it will be useless. As soon as you have improved it, even if the monsters and undead creatures in the corpse swamp rush out and destroy it, you will have nothing. This is the biggest threat to the Buddha family. Wood and the others have been listening to Zhao Hai's words quietly. Now Wood and Stone have become very smart, but relatively speaking, Wood is more calm and observes things more carefully, while Stone is relatively impulsive. Some a little careless. When Moo Moo heard what Zhao Hai said, he couldn't help but said, "Master, the carrion swamp is a big threat to us, but it is just a threat. As long as there is space, we will be fine, but if we really want to go, conquering the carrion swamp is very likely to be dangerous. It doesn't matter if we die, but if something happens to the young master, even if we die, we will have no face to face the master, let alone face Boo, the ancestor of the Dao family. Young master, you should be careful about this matter." At the end of Moo Moo's words, his tone became very serious, and Merlin's expression also changed. In recent times, due to Zhao Hai's various magical performances, Merlin no longer worried about Zhao Hai's safety. But after being treated like this by Moo Moo, Merlin suddenly remembered that Zhao Hai is the only one left in the Buddha family now. If something happens to Zhao Hai, then there will be no need for the Buddha family to exist. Even if a person dies, he will not be able to escape his guilt. When Zhao Hai saw the appearance of the wood, he couldn't help but smile bitterly and said, "You think I really want to mess with the corpse swamp, but have you ever thought about it? Everything we have now is brought about by this space, and I also know that after I drank the water of nothingness, I can't learn magic or fighting spirit, and my body is worse than ordinary people. If one day I get sick and die, or I get old and die, then what will happen to this dimension? Will it still exist? If this space disappears, will the collected undead creatures still be there? If those undead creatures disappear, what power does our Buddha family have to resist the power of the carrion swamp?" Upon hearing what Zhao Hai said, everyone's faces turned pale. Just when Merlin was about to say something, Zhao Hai waved his hand and said, "Water of nothingness, no one can learn martial arts and magic within 10 generations. Everyone knows this. If one day all of us are gone, then the Buddha family may not be able to stop an attack from those monsters, so the matter in the carrion swamp must be resolved, and it must be resolved completely, once and for all." Merlin opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end she said nothing because what Zhao Hai said was true. Merlin also had some doubts about Zhao Hai's magical space. This space was too magical. The Buddha family now relies too much on this space. If this space really disappears one day, then they will really be doomed. Zhao Hai did not simply limit his eyes to their generation. What he wanted to do was to let the Buddha family exist for a long time, so the matter in the carrion swamp must be resolved. Chapter 96 Volume 1 Chapter 96 Name change. Merlin knew very well that a person who drinks the water of nothingness is about the same as an ordinary person, and may be physically weaker than an ordinary person. People like this can only live a few dozen years at most, and they are good enough to survive. When Zhao Hai is about 100 years old, he will be able to hold up to the sky. If Zhao Hai dies, then news of this magical space may be lost. By then, the Buddha family will have lost its biggest support. The most important thing is that it is not the undead creatures obtained from the corpse swamp or Zhao Zui and the others, it is the space that turned them into this. If the space disappears one day, will these guys disappear or stay? If it's evil, that's hard to say. If these guys disappeared, everything would be easy to handle. But if these guys didn't disappear, but lost the constraints of space, regained their nature and started to do evil, then it would be troublesome. What Merlin and the others pay most attention to now is Zhao Hai's safety, because Zhao Hai's safety is related to the inheritance of the Buddha family. It can be said that what Merlin and the others really pay attention to is the inheritance of the Buddha family. If the Buddha family is not the only one left with Zhao Hai, once there is a single seedling, and there are many heirs, Merlin and the others may not pay attention to Zhao Hai. For a noble, the most important thing is inheritance. As long as this family and this surname can be passed down, it means that this family will always be a noble and one day it will turn around. What Zhao Hai said was also related to the inheritance of the Buddha family, so Merlin and the others had to pay attention to it. For a moment, everyone in the room didn't know what to say. Zhao Hai glanced at them and smiled bitterly. In fact, he had been thinking about this problem for a long time. He came to this world, became Adam Buddha, and became the sole heir of the Buddha family. In the future, the Buddha family wants to develop. We can only rely on him and his descendants. If he dies, then Merlin and the others will support his son, and Zhao Hai does not think that his son can inherit this space. If his son cannot inherit his space, if you can't learn magic and fighting spirit, then you shouldn't be bullied to death. If others knew what Zhao Hai was thinking, they would definitely say, "Are you thinking too much and thinking about your son and grandson before you were 20 years old?" In fact, Zhao Hai's mental age is already over 30. Even when he was on Earth, this was the age when he should have children. Zhao Hai never fell in love when he was on Earth, but that doesn't mean he doesn't want to fall in love. Otakus all have one characteristic, which is what people often call boring. Zhao Hai also imagined that one day he would be able to live on the hotbed with a wife and children. So he would think of these issues. When he arrived at our continent, although he had been busy, he also knew that he was no longer Zhao Hai on the earth. He was Adam Buddha, the only heir of the Buddha family. While he inherited Adam's body, he also inherited Adam's responsibility and passed on the Buddha family. But now it seems that this is not easy. Strong enemies are watching from outside, and there is one of the 5 most dangerous places in the mainland around him. From time to time, monsters come out to cause trouble. Even if he has space, he has to be careful. If he takes a wrong step, he will be in trouble. Not covered. But looking at the appearance of Merlin and the others, he couldn't bear to attack her, and continued, "Actually, it is not impossible to solve the problem of the carrion swamp. The reason why the carrion swamp has not been conquered for so many years is because those people don't have space. There are high-level monsters and undead creatures in the carrion swamp. It's good, but as long as we bring them into the space, they will be ours. And there is no need to worry about the poisonous gas in the swamp. I think the poisonous gas in the swamp is caused by the accumulation of too many poisonous plants growing there, and space water has detoxification function, so we don't have to worry about things in the swamp at all." Merlin is indeed in a low mood. Their development has been really good during this period. Although there was a Warcraft riot, there was no loss. Moreover, Zhao Hai's space has been continuously upgraded, and everything is developing in a good direction. But what Zhao Hai just said shocked them. They suddenly realized that they now had a greater threat, and this threat could destroy them at any time. Now when they heard what Zhao Hai said, although they still couldn't let go completely, they were relieved. Merlin couldn't help but nodded and said, "It seems that the plan we made before is good. Let Zhao Zui and the others put the corruption down, find out more about the situation in the corpse swamp, and then capture the monsters and undead creatures bit by bit. In this way, the strength in the corpse swamp will slowly decrease, and our strength will increase. Maybe we can eliminate the corpses in the future. It's a problem in the swamp." Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, "Yes, now our Buddha family can be said to have been pushed to the edge. If we cannot take root here in the Black Soil Wasteland, then our Buddha family is likely to disappear. Grandma Malin, I have thought about it. From today on, I will change my name to Zhao Hai Buddha. The previous Adam is dead, and now my name is Zhao Hai." Zhao Hai has always been very disputed about his name. His voice on Earth has been called Zhao Hai for almost 30 years, but after arriving here, he can only be called Adam Buddha. Zhao Hai does not want to be called Adam. Although a name is just a code name, nothing special. But don't forget that he brought this name from the Earth. It can be said that apart from space, he only has this name that has something to do with the Earth. That's why Zhao Hai thought about changing his name. Merlin didn't have any reaction to Zhao Hai changing his name. As long as Zhao Hai didn't change his last name, everything would be fine. To be honest, Merlin really respects Zhao Hai now. Even when facing Zhao Hai's father, Merlin had never respected him so much before, because Zhao Hai always had space in his hands, and she had seen the power of space before. On the surface, this space has no offensive capabilities, but as long as Zhao Hai is here, he is a god, and no one in the space can be disadvantageous to Zhao Hai. There is another point that Merlin and the others have not discovered, which is the slave program of the space. Therefore, people who enter the space will become obsessed with Zhao Hai. This is the case with wood and stone. They only listened to green at first, but after entering the space, they began to listen to Zhao Hai. Merlin and the others did not respect Zhao Hai so much at the beginning. After all, they watched Zhao Hai grow up, but as time went by in the space, they slowly changed. Now, their thoughts are completely different from when they first entered the space. There was no notification sound coming from the space about this matter, so no one has noticed it until now, not even Zhao Hai. Although Merlin respects Zhao Hai very much, they still have their own independent thoughts. So if they think something Hai does is wrong, they will still oppose it and will not blindly obey it. It is precisely because of this that Zhao Hai has never noticed anything unusual about them. Merlin nodded and said, "Okay, it's not a big deal. Anyway, the young master can't use the name Adam when walking on the mainland in the future. It's not bad to call him Zhao Hai." At this moment, a figure flashed on the screen, attracting the attention of Zhao Hai and others. They looked at the screen carefully and found that several dead soldiers had entered the canyon. Zhao Hai looked at the dead soldiers. Their actions were very careful. Although Zhao Hai could only see a range of 500 meters on the screen, these dead soldiers entered the canyon from all sides. It means that they have scouted all sides of the canyon before. Zhao Hai couldn't help but nodded, turned to Merlin and said, "The people who came to deal with us this time were really careful. They actually checked the surrounding situation in advance. Fortunately, I let Zhao Qian also enter the space. Otherwise they might find out." Merlin smiled and said, "Yes, the people who came this time are very organized. Young Master, call Zhao Zui, and others, let them see the terrain where many people are camping, and then tell them to attack from there." Zhao Hai nodded and called out Zhao Zui and the others. Zhao Zui and the other 8 called Zhao Qian, and they all came to Zhao Hai's side. After saluting a few people, they stared at the screen. Although Zhao Hai has accepted Zhao Zui and the others for a while, he rarely lets them come to the villa. Not to mention that Zhao Hai has any prejudice against them. Zhao Zui and the others are now Zhao Hai's slaves, even more so than Green. The slaves he bought must be reliable. How could Zhao Hai have any prejudice against them? I can see that Zhao Hai has been really busy recently and Zhao Zui and the others are very capable. Zhao Hai has been sending them to watch outside or command the undead creatures. If there is time, let them come to the villa. Chat. The image on the screen had changed. The dead soldiers just stopped at the camp for a moment, then dispersed in all directions, and then a large group of people entered the camp. Most of the people in this team were warriors, and these warriors were all on foot. There were only 6 horses in the entire team. On these 6 horses sat 6 people, 3 dressed as magicians and 3 dressed as warriors. Among the 3 people dressed as magicians, one was wearing a white magic robe. His magic robe was completely different from Zhao Hai's black magic robe. The magic robe was very gorgeous, without a hat, and was all white, as smooth as silk. The afternoon sun shines on it, giving it a golden light. He held a white magic wand in his hand. This magic wand was as gorgeous as the magic robe he wore. It was inlaid with a large transparent crystal. The sunlight shone on it and reflected on his white magic robe. A rainbow of 7 colors. This man is not very old. He looks to be in his 30s. He looks very gentle and has a gentle smile on his face. Although he has traveled a long way and is still in a desolate canyon, he looks like sitting in the living room of his home, chatting with his friends as leisurely as possible. Chapter 97 Volume 1 Chapter 97 Green Returns. Merlin looked at the man carefully and said solemnly, "The man in white is a light magician, and it seems that his level is still low, at least around level 6. Zhao Hai and the others all nodded. To be honest, Zhao Hai and the others together could not compare to Merlin. Merlin still had a lot of say here. However, Zhao Zui said, "This man's name is Jialan. He is a 7th level light magician. He faced us once 2 years ago. We suffered a small loss that time, but he didn't get better either. At that time, he brought a team of people to deal with them and injured Xiao Liu and Xiao Kai, but no one in their team of 50 people left alive. This guy is not only very powerful in light attack magic, but he can also use light magic. The summoning technique, the light creatures he summons are of high level and difficult to deal with." Zhao Hai and the others were stunned. They really didn't expect that Zhao Zui actually knew this person. Zhao Hai quickly asked, "Where is this guy from? Why did he get involved with you?" Zhao Zui sneered, "You are just a hypocrite. Light magicians have always claimed to be the spokesperson of God, and they have always wanted light magic to be the most valued among all magics, so they have found all kinds of excuses to smear black magic. Magicians, The reason why black magicians are so unpopular on the mainland now is all caused by them. We used to be bandits, how could these people who claim to be the embodiment of justice let us go? Zhao Hai smiled slightly, and said, "Don't tell me, it's normal for him to deal with you based on the things you did before. But now that he's messing with us, that's no longer the case. Do you know the other ones?" Zhao Zui shook his head and said, "I don't know them anymore, but I probably know who the two magicians around Jialan are. Although I haven't fought with them or seen them in person, judging from their appearance, I probably know who they are. You can guess that the two of them are stone spirit masters." Merlin nodded and said, "It looks similar to me. Although I have never met the two masters of Xiling, judging from the way they are dressed and their age, they are probably the masters of Xiling. It seems that they are the masters of Xiling. The people who are going to deal with us this time are very strong." Zhao Hai looked at Merlin in confusion and said, "Grandma Merlin, are these two stone spirit heroes very strong?" Merlin smiled slightly and said, "Very strong. The two of them are earth magicians. Not only are they proficient in earth magic, but they are also best at summoning a stone giant. This stone giant is an earth spirit creature with a height of 8 meters. On the left and right, their whole bodies are piled with rocks. They are extremely powerful and can throw rocks as stone bombs. The most important thing is that as long as they don't leave the ground, their strength will not weaken. It is very difficult to deal with this. It is precisely because they are proficient in this summoning technique that the two brothers are called the Stone Spirit Twins, and they can be regarded as famous figures for a long time." Zhao Hai nodded and took another look at the two magicians wearing yellow magic robes. To be honest, the image of these two magicians really fit the image of a magician in Zhao Hai's heart. They were all dressed in yellow. The magic robes are not too ostentatious. The two of them look young, both about 50 years old. Their hair is a little gray and their beards are quite long. They are very thin, but they give people a sense of erudition, as if you were facing two great scholars who are accustomed to learning from the past and the present. In Zhao Hai's eyes, that Jialan didn't feel very good to him. The good guy's smile was too fake and his clothes were too pretentious. He looks like a charlatan and a liar, but Xiling the Xuangjis were different. These two people gave Zhao Hai a good feeling, but they were only good. Those who came to deal with him were all his enemies, and he would not be polite. Zhao Hai turned his attention to the other three people on horseback. Zhao Hai was sure that the other three people on horseback must be the three senior warriors. When he saw these three people, Zhao Hai's eyes couldn't help but shrink. These three are so strange. When you see them, you will feel cold and the air will darken. This has nothing to do with the black samurai uniforms they are wearing. It is a kind of momentum, very peculiar temperament. Zhao Hai knew that this was murderous intent. This murderous intent was different from the murderous intent of soldiers. This murderous intent should belong to a killer, cold and strange. The murderous intent of soldiers comes from the battlefield. They are upright, and their murderous intent is as high as mountains and seas. But the murderous intent is different. The murderous intent of killers comes from the fact that they have killed people. This kind of murderous intent cannot be as powerful as that of soldiers, but it is like a hidden path. The snake in the dark makes you feel dangerous and disgusted when you see it. When Merlin saw these three people, her expression changed. Although she didn't recognize these three people, she felt that these three people were not good people. At this moment, I heard Zhao Qian say, "These three people are so strange. I feel very familiar with them. Did we know each other before?" Zhao Hai and the others were stunned for a moment, and then their expressions changed. Zhao Qian would not lie. He said that he felt familiar with these three people, so he was right. It seems that the people who came to deal with them this time were the same as Zhao Qian. The origin of Zhao Qian is very mysterious. Zhao Hai and the others still don't know the origin of Zhao Qian. This is an opportunity to get to know the bottom of that force. However, it can be seen from the lineup that came to deal with them this time that the force behind Zhao Qian is quite powerful, probably no less powerful than the force behind Zhao Zui and the others. Maybe the two forces are one. Zhao Hai turned to Zhao Qian and said, "Zhao Qian, did you remember anything?" Zhao Qian shook his head and said, "I didn't think of anything, but I just felt that I should know those three people. It's strange." Zhao Hai nodded, turned to Zhao Zui and the others and said, "Zhao Zui, take a closer look at their camp. We are going to attack them, and we have to attack from there. Also, wait until night. Zhao Qian, you go out at once, take the evil spirit staff, and find out the locations of the dead soldiers they released, and you cannot let these people go." The two of them hurriedly responded and looked at those people carefully. It was obvious that the highest-ranking people in this group were the 6 people on horses. However, it was obvious that the command was not them, but the group walking on the ground. One of the warriors. This warrior wore a very ordinary leather armor. He was about 40 years old and had a weathered look on his face. However, when he directed those people to build the camp, he was very orderly. It didn't take long for him to do as simple the camp was set up. Zhao Hai and the others looked at them as if they were watching a movie, shouting around and building a camp. To be honest, except for Zhao Hai, who was used to watching TV, everyone else felt a little uncomfortable with this feeling. Habit. The camp was built, and there were 2 large tents in the middle of the camp. These 2 large tents were prepared for the 3 magicians and 3 senior warriors. The others lived in small tents. As soon as the camp was built, the light magician suddenly walked to the middle of the camp, then muttered a few spells in a low voice, waved the magic wand in his hand, and a ball of white light centered around him like a protective shield around him. Spread out. When Merlin saw this man's actions, he was stunned and said, "Ling Wang detective, this man is actually an 8th level light magician." Zhao Hai and the others looked at Merlin in confusion and said, "Grandma Merlin, what is ghost detection with spiritual light?" Merlin said, "Aura ghost detection is a very special kind of magic in the light magic. It is specially used to find dark creatures. This kind of magic is very slow to react to other creatures. It only reacts very slowly to dark creatures. Sensitive, as long as the dark creatures within the range of this magic are guaranteed not to escape his detection, and this kind of magic can only be cast by light magicians who have reached the 8th level." Zhao Hai looked at the screen and murmured, "It seems that it was right to let Zhao Qian in just now, otherwise they would have discovered it by now." Merlin nodded and said, "Yes, if Zhao Qian had not been allowed in just now, even if Zhao Qian had escaped the search of those dead soldiers, he would not have been able to hide himself from the ghost-detecting magic of aura. These guys are really very capable." "Cautious," Zhao Hai said with a heavy face. "Yes, these guys are very cautious. I think we will take action tonight," claiming that they are unprepared, and finish them off. Merlin nodded and said, "Yes, originally I wanted to wait for the old man to come back before taking action. But now it seems that if we wait for the old man to come back, I'm afraid we won't have that time. Let's take action today." Zhao Hai nodded and was about to speak when suddenly Zhao Kai sent news that Green was back. Zhao Hai couldn't help being stunned and immediately turned the screen to Rock Mountain. When he saw Green standing in the yard, Zhao Hai immediately opened the space and took Green and Zhao Kai into the space. As soon as Green entered the space, Zhao Hai and the others immediately greeted him. Merlin looked at Green and said puzzledly, "Didn't you go buy pizza? Why did you come back empty-handed?" Green said with a smile, "Don't worry, the rabbit has been bought. I asked people from Magical Trading Company to help transport it. But when I came back, I found that someone had been following me, and the surveillance was even tighter. I'm afraid something happened at home, so I ran back first. How about it? Is everything okay at home?" Merlin and the others looked at each other and smiled bitterly. When Green saw their faces, his expression changed and he said, "What? Something really happened? What happened?" Zhao Hai told him the situation, then called Green and Zhao Kai and Zhao Lian to the villa and switched the screen to the camp again. Green stared at the camp, his eyes flashing coldly, and said, "Okay, here we go again. It's not over yet. It seems we can't do it without hurting you, young master. We will do it tonight. We will definitely hurt them." Zhao Hai nodded and said, "We think so too. The enemies coming this time are very strong. One of them is an 8th level light magician, 2 are also 7th level earth magicians, and 3 senior warriors. The rest are some intermediate warriors and dead warriors. If we deal with them all, the other party will definitely be honest, and maybe we can find some clues." As he said that, he pulled the screen into where Jailan and the others were. Tent. Chapter 98 Volume 1 Chapter 98 Confusing Right and Ron. The 3 of Jailan are sitting in the tent. Among them, Jailan is holding a book and reading it. This book is very strange. It is not an ordinary paper book but a parchment hand scroll, but a book with a faint silvery white light. This book is made of metal. It is not thick. It only has 5 pages in total. Each page is made very thin and does not look heavy at all. When they saw this book, Green and Merlin were both stunned, and then both of them exclaimed at the same time, "The demon sealing iron scroll." Except for Zhao Hai, everyone in the room was stunned when they heard these 4 words, and then looked at the thin iron book in Jailan's hand with shocked expressions. Zhao Hai knew it was a good thing as soon as he saw the faces of these people, so he quickly said, "Grandpa Green, what is the demon sealing iron scroll?" Green came back to his senses, read the book, and said with joy in his eyes, "The demon-sealed iron book was produced by a master alchemist for nearly 20 years when alchemy was at its most developed. A special magic item. The materials used to make this kind of book are very precious, so there are not many such books in existence. Even if you know how to make them, it is difficult to make this kind of book. The biggest problem with this kind of book is the purpose is to seal magic. To seal a magic into this book, you only need to use a little magic to activate the book and you can use it. Each page of the book can seal a magic, regardless of level. Zhao Hai was stunned. He immediately understood what this meant. This book was equivalent to a cannon with unlimited ammunition. As long as you press the button, the cannon will fire. Unless you don't have the strength to press the button, otherwise if so, this cannon will keep firing, which is definitely a good thing. Merlin waited for Green to finish speaking, then smiled and said, "It seems that this time I really made a lot of money. This magic sealing book seems to have been used, but I don't know what level of magic it is sealed. If it is too high, it will be really troublesome, but as long as we grab this book, it will be an extra strength for us." Zhao Hai nodded, turned to Zhao Qian and said, "Zhao Qian, when the war starts in the evening, you don't need to worry about anyone. The first person to deal with is this Jialan. You must kill him as soon as possible. Remember, this guy is very cautious. You must be careful about what traps he will create." Zhao Qian bowed and said, "Yes, young master." Zhao Hai nodded, turned to Green and said, "Grandpa Green, our first target this time is that Jialan. Anyone can run away, but that guy can't run away. That guy can take out the demon sealing iron scroll. His family must be very rich. He must be an important figure in that organization. Maybe we can find some clues on him." Green nodded and said, "Okay, young master, don't worry, he can't run away." Zhao Hai nodded, glanced at the demon sealing iron scroll hotly, then turned to Meg and said, "Meg, as long as you get this demon sealing iron scroll, it will be yours." Meg was stunned for a moment, then her face lit up. She looked at Zhao Hai and said, "Really? Please don't lie to me." Zhao Hai laughed loudly and said, "Why am I lying to you? You are a 6th-level magician, but you don't even have a magic wand in your hand. This magic sealing iron scroll is yours to use. If you have a chance in the future, I'm getting you a better magic wand." Merlin smiled happily and said, "Okay, then I will wait, but young master, you must get me a better staff, at least as beautiful and useful as your evil spirit staff." Zhao Hai laughed and said, "Okay, as long as there is a chance, I will definitely give you a useful staff, ha ha ha." Zhao Hai is really happy now. If he hadn't discovered these people, he might have let them. Although people succeeded in sneak attacks, he was certain that even if these people succeeded in sneak attacks, he would not suffer much loss because he had space. Now that he has discovered these guys, they can't run away. Although these people are very strong, don't forget that the power in his hands is not weak either. It is enough to deal with these people. The most important thing is that Zhao Hai wants to kill them all, and then let Zhao Zui and the others turn these people into undead creatures. Even if they cannot become advanced ones, they must turn them into undead creatures and then bring them into the space. Let the space be upgraded, so that he will have a group of subordinates with strong combat effectiveness. But Zhao Hai still wanted Zhao Zui to turn these people into advanced undead creatures so that he could find out the background of these people. This time he really wanted to see if he could succeed. When he thought of this, Zhao Hai couldn't help but turned to Zhao Zui and said, "Zhao Zui, can you turn that Jialan into a high-level undead creature?" Zhao Zui shook his head and said, "No, young master, that Jialan is a light magician. Such a person can only become a low-level undead creature at most, and it will never be possible to upgrade, because light magic and dark magic are inherently different. Incompatible with each other, an undead creature cannot be of light attribute." Zhao Hai's face turned bitter and he frowned and said, "The highest status among these people is Jialan. He may know the most secrets. If you can't know these things from him, it seems that you can only find solutions from other places. Oh, Zhao Zui, remember the person who commanded those ordinary warriors and turned him into a high-level undead creature?" Zhao Zui responded, "This is not difficult. Although he can't do it alone, it can still be done with the help of a few of them." Zhao Hai turned to Green and said, "Grandpa Green, do you think the two stone spirit brothers are also members of that force? If they are too, should we also turn them into high-level undead creatures?" Before Green could answer, Zhao Zui said, "Master, it is not easy to turn a person into a high-level undead creature. With the power of 8 of us, we can only transform into one person at a time. And in the next 10 years, we can no longer turn people into advanced undead creatures." Zhao Hai was stunned and said, "There is another saying, forget it. I hope we can get some clues from that person. We are really too passive now." Green nodded and said, "Yes, there is such an enemy who has been watching us from the side. I am also very uneasy. I hope we can find some clues this time. But master, there is good news. Miss Laura has passed. The people from the Magical Chamber of Commerce sent us a message that she will be able to return to Casa City in 3 days, and she will definitely come to visit us then. Zhao Hai looked happy and said, "Okay, great, she is finally coming back. If she doesn't come back, I really can't wait." At this moment, a voice suddenly came and said, "Brother Shi, thank you both for coming to help me this time. I heard that this black magician named Zhao Hai, on his way to Casa City, met with the undead mercenary. The gang colluded and massacred several villages to deal with Miss Laura. Fortunately, Miss Laura was rescued by a passing strawman, otherwise she would have been in danger. We must get rid of such an evil person as soon as possible and keep him. The harm is too great. This is a great good thing for the country and the people, and we will do our part." Zhao Hai and Green both looked at Jialan with their mouths agape and waited for him to finish speaking. Then Zhao Hai took a breath and cursed in a low voice, "I have never seen such a shameless person before. Good guy, just tell me the blame for this matter has been put on us, and the one who saved people has become the one who harmed them. Damn it, people are really too skinned, how can they be reasonable?" Green snorted coldly and said, "These light magicians are used to pretending like this. They obviously want to have other purposes, but they still have to pretend to be righteous. It's disgusting to watch." Merlin also snorted coldly and said, "These guys are still so annoying. The two Shiling heroes are well known as good guys on the mainland. It seems that they were attacked by that Jialan." As the three of them were talking, the eldest of the two Shiling heroes also spoke up, "Mr. Jialan, you are too polite. You are a famous demon slayer warrior on the mainland. This time, we brothers can help someone a little. A human honor." Jialan smiled and said, "Brother Shi is too polite. I met people from the undead mercenary group once a few years ago, but at that time I was only a 6th level magician. Although I caused them some minor injuries, I still managed to survive. Let them run away, and this time I hope to find clues to the undead mercenary group from Zhao Hai." Shiling Shuangji was obviously very interested in this topic and began to ask what was going on. Jialan also smiled and talked about how he dealt with the undead mercenary group back then. However, Zhao Hai was not interested in these. He took a quick look and turned the screen to the tent of the three senior warriors. However, what disappointed Zhao Hai was that although the three senior warriors were in the tent, but they just sat there practicing without saying a word. After watching for a while, I found that there was really no movement from them, and Zhao Hai stopped looking at them. It seemed that the identities of these three guys were not simple, and they must be among the killers. Zhao Hai turned the image to the tent where the ordinary warriors were commanded, only to see the man sitting in the tent without saying a word, frowning and looking at a map. Zhao Hai pulled the screen closer and took a closer look at the map. As expected, it was the terrain map of the Rock Mountain. What surprised Zhao Hai was that there was not only the terrain around the Rock Mountain on this map. The terrain, even the terrain on the Rocky Mountain is clearly marked. Green glanced at the map, sighed, turned to Zhao Hai and said, "Master, don't let Zhao Zui and the others turn this man into a high-level undead creature for a while. It's useless. This man is a mercenary, not like that Jialan. It seems that among this group of people, only Jialan is the real master, and those three high-ranking warriors may be Allah, and no one else is possible." Zhao Hai nodded, turned the image to the three warriors, looked at the three people carefully, and said, "Zhao Kaiyan, do you really feel that these three people are very familiar with you?" Zhao Kaiyan nodded and said, "Yes, young master, I feel very familiar. It's just a feeling." Zhao Hai nodded without saying anything. Chapter 99 Volume 1 Chapter 99 Antidote. Zhao Hai understood what Zhao Kaiyan meant. What Zhao Kaiyan meant was that he just felt familiar with these three warriors, but didn't know them. He still didn't think of anything. I looked around the camp again and found nothing unusual. Jialan was still there talking with the Shiling brothers, as if they were completely sure this time. If they use their current strength, it is indeed enough to deal with Zhao Hai's apparent identity. Zhao Hai's apparent identity is a black magician, and Jialan is an 8th level light magician, who is a black magician. The master's nemesis, although Green showed off his skills when begging Laura, don't forget that there are also 3 high-level warriors beside Jialan. Even if they can't defeat Green, it won't be a problem to hold them back. With the addition of the 2 Shiling brothers, they can naturally deal with Merlin. It seems that they still have a good chance of winning. It is because of this that Jialan looks confident. Zhao Hai did not turn the screen to other places. Although what Jialan and the others said now were all nonsense, in any case, they were the only ones in the entire camp who deserved attention. Others had nothing worth mentioning. Attention. Zhao Hai and the others are also waiting. They can only take action when it gets dark. Jialan and the others are also waiting, but they seem to have more time than Zhao Hai and the others. Just as Zhao Hai and the others were watching Jialan and the others chatting about useless things, suddenly a voice came from outside Jialan's tent. Report. Jialan and the 3 of them stopped talking. Jialan said solemnly, "Come in." A dead warrior dressed in black walked in from outside, saluted Jialan, and then gave Jialan a piece of paper in his hand. Before Jialan could say anything, he turned around and left the tent. This person's behavior was very rude, but the strange thing was that Jialan was not angry at all. Instead, one of the two masters of Shilling snorted coldly and said in a deep voice, "These dead warriors of the Versailles family are really there are no rules at all. I once came to help them get rid of a serious problem in the territory, but they acted like they were superior. That means Mr. Jialan has a good temper, otherwise he would have taught them a lesson." Jialan smiled slightly and said, "This time we are here to deal with Zhao Hai. The Versailles family has also provided a lot of help, but their calculations are also good. Let us take action. They only provide some intelligence help and send some dead people." When the soldiers came out, there was not much movement. We were afraid that if one of us failed and Zhao Hai ran away, we would not seek revenge on them. Haha, Archduke Versailles is really becoming more and more calculating now. When Zhao Hai and Green heard what the three of them said, they couldn't help but feel shocked. Green snorted coldly and said, "It seems that the Versailles family is really not a good person. This attack really has something to do with them." As soon as he finished speaking, he heard Jialan's voice coming again. Sure enough, Zhao Hai's senior warrior will not be able to return to Rock Mountain until tomorrow. It seems that we can't take action tonight. We have to wait until tomorrow night. That's all. One of Shiling Yaoji said, "It's strange to say, why did Zhao Hai buy so many rabbits? Or the cheapest blue-eyed rabbits, what is their purpose?" Jialan frowned and snorted coldly. "The evil man is crooked. Who knows what he wants to do? Maybe he wants to use these rabbits to test new poisons." Zhao Hai and Green sat in front of the screen and looked at Jialan and the others. Now that they knew that Green had not returned yet, they were ready to rest. Anyway, they had dead soldiers and would not take action until tomorrow, and the tent became quiet. Zhao Hai saw that the tent became quiet, and then said, "It seems that the image of black magicians on the mainland is really not good. These guys actually said that we want to use those rabbits for experiments. But this is okay, they wait one night. This night is just enough time for us to take action. Ha ha ha, Archduke Versailles, you actually want to borrow a knife to kill him. It's a pity that he didn't expect that we would have space and their plan would be heard by us. When we arrive, we may not be able to find the person behind Jialan, but it is enough to know the Grand Duke Versailles." Green nodded and said, "Yes, that's enough. The Versailles family is now guarding the entrance and exit of the Black Soil Wasteland, which poses the greatest threat to us. Although we have space so we don't have to worry, this is always a big trouble. But we don't have that much power now to solve this problem. When we have enough power, the first one we have to solve is the Versailles family." Merlin glanced at Green and told him what Zhao Hai was worried about just now. After hearing this, Green laughed and said, "Master, don't worry, the space is here now, and you are here too. As long as we give us a few decades, we can get enough power from the Carrion Swamp, and then we can wipe out the Versailles family in one fell swoop and seize the Versailles Principality. By then, even if we tell those people about the situation in the Black Wasteland, what can people do? And young master, don't forget that after a few decades, Wood, Stone, and Meg have all grown up. We can still train some talents. As long as those people can grow up, they will be considered young masters by then. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Who do we, the Buddha family, fear? The reason why we lost so miserably this time is because we did not expect that those old nobles would be so ruthless and kill the master directly. Now we are prepared. They are thinking it's not that easy to do anything to the Buddha family, and Merlin and I are not vegetarians." Zhao Hai was still a little worried and said, "But if those people really know what happened in the Black Earth Wasteland, then they will definitely unite to deal with us. By then, even if we are strong enough, we will not be able to stop them. Their attack, right?" Green sneered and said, "Young master thinks too highly of those people. Those guys are a group of people who recognize money, but not people. Moreover, they belong to the miser group. If they dare to unite, we will fight as a family first. We can fight, they are in pain, they dare not stretch out their hands, and naturally we will be fine. How did those old nobles develop? Isn't that how they developed? Only when you hurt them will they recognize your strength." Upon hearing what Green said, Zhao Hai couldn't help, but his eyes lit up, and then laughed loudly, and said, "Yes, Grandpa Green is right. It seems that our previous thoughts were too pessimistic, haha. It's not surprising that Zhao Hai had such pessimistic thoughts before. He is a little otaku at heart, and the characteristic of an otaku is that he is very cautious in doing things. In fact, to put it bluntly, he is timid. It is precisely because of this. So after Zhao Hai received Adam's memory, he understood the power of those great nobles from Adam's memory. He was always afraid subconsciously and did not want to face those people. so he focused on farming and thinking about he let himself and his descendants nest in the black soil wasteland, never thinking that one day he could break out of the black soil wasteland, stand upright in front of the world, and make the world have to admit his existence. But when Green said this, he suddenly opened a completely different window for Zhao Hai, allowing Zhao Hai to see another way out. Yes, why do he want to do so much? He will be fine for a while, and wait until the power is enough, and those who have to admit it will need to admit it. When the time comes, they will have to admit it even if they don't want to. Thinking of this, Zhao Hai couldn't help but sigh to himself, it would be great if the water of nothingness could be dissolved. Just as he finished thinking, the space prompt sound came. If the host wants to remove the genetic defects in the body, it needs to be above level 20, and it can only be done after the processing plant is opened. Zhao Hai and the people in the house listened in stunned silence. Zhao Hai was just thinking secretly in his heart, so Green and the others didn't know what Zhao Hai was thinking, so they felt very worried about this sudden sentence. It's an accident, I don't know what it means. They didn't know, but Zhao Hai knew. Zhao Hai knew very well what this sentence meant. He didn't expect that this water of nothingness would suddenly cause defects in his genes. No wonder he had to learn magic and fighting spirit. It turned out that that's the reason. But what makes him happy is that after reaching level 20, he can activate the processing plant function and repair this genetic defect. Zhao Hai couldn't help laughing when he thought of this. Green and the others looked at Zhao Hai in confusion. After a while, Zhao Hai calmed down a little before Green said, "Master, what did that sound mean just now? What are you laughing at?" Zhao Hai calmed down, but still said with a smile on his face, "Just now I was thinking about how to solve the problem of the water of nothingness on my body, and then the space prompt sound came." He stopped talking at this point, looking at Green and the others with smiles on their faces. Green and the others were not fools. When they heard what Zhao Hai said, they were stunned for a moment, and then they immediately understood what it meant. Green and Merlin stood up in unison, looked at Zhao Hai and said, "Master, do you say that?" Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Yes, as long as I pass level 20, there will be a way to solve the problem of the void water in my body." Green looked at Zhao Hai in disbelief and said, "Master, are you not joking? Is this true?" Zhao Hai laughed loudly and said, "I would joke about this kind of thing, it's true." Green laughed loudly and Merlin also liked it. Not only them, but also Wood and Stone. They never thought that the water of nothingness, which is called the unsolvable water in the world, could be solved by space. If it really is in this case, their last worry will disappear. They were a little worried before that if the water of nothingness in Zhao Hai's body always existed, then Zhao Hai's lifespan would still be a few decades at most, which meant that this space could only exist for a few decades at most. Although these few dozen years are enough for them to do a lot of things, but there will inevitably be some shortcomings. However, if the problem of the water of nothingness is solved, then Zhao Hai can learn magic and fighting spirit, and his lifespan will naturally increase when he enters the stage. All the problems you were worried about completely disappeared. Chapter 100 Volume 1 Chapter 100 Attack. They are also very happy about the wood. It can be said that the water of nothingness has always been a big stone that weighs on their hearts, and this big stone is still the heaviest one and the most unsolvable one. Now that they suddenly heard that this big stone can be resolved, of course they happy. After a while, Green said to Zhao Hai, "Master, how do you upgrade this space? Do you want to find some special plants like before?" Zhao Hai nodded and said, "It seems so. Now this is also the fastest upgrade method I can find. But last time, Grandpa Green, you have found a lot of things. Those things allowed the space to upgrade to the 10th level. But these things you found are also some of the most common things, the easiest things to find. If you want to upgrade the space, I'm afraid that things of this level will not be available, and it will not be easy to upgrade the space in the future." Green nodded, his face became ugly, and he said in a deep voice, "It seems that our development focus should not be on other things in the future. Upgrading the space to level 20 is the most important thing." Merlin and the others all nodded in unison. Before, they thought that the most important thing was to use the planting ability of space to make enough money for the Buddha family as soon as possible, but it is different now. Now space can remove Zhao Hai's water of nothingness, then everything else is unimportant, and getting rid of the water of nothingness is the most important thing. Zhao Hai didn't say anything when he saw their appearance. He knew what Green and the others were thinking. His safety was always the first priority. To be honest, he had no reason to object. He also wanted to get rid of the void in his body as soon as possible. The water was dissolved so that he could have the opportunity to learn magic and fighting spirit. In China, everyone used to have a martial arts dream, but with the rise of online literature, now everyone in China has a time travel dream. Why travel to another world? Learning dazzling magic and powerful fighting spirit are the biggest dreams of those who imagine that one day they can travel through time. Although Zhao Hai traveled through time, it was impossible to learn magic and fighting spirit because he drank the water of nothingness. This made Zhao Hai very regretful. Now that there is a solution, Zhao Hai is of course very happy. Now Green and the others no longer have the mind to care about what Jialan and the others say. They have not yet recovered from the excitement. The surprise this news brings them is really too big. After more than 2 hours, Green and the others finally calmed down, but everyone still looked excited, which made Zhao Hai very impatient. By this time, the screen had gone dark. Magic lamps had been lit in Jialan's tent. A few people were still chatting, while the mercenaries outside were cooking. When he saw the mercenaries cooking, Merlin remembered that he hadn't cooked yet and quickly got up to cook, while Meg and the others also arranged for the slaves to eat. Those slaves are very used to staying in the space, so they know what to do without anyone looking at them. Now they don't need Zhao Hai to be too careful. After dinner, Zhao Hai asked Zhao Qian to go out of the space with the evil spirit staff. Zhao Qian's purpose was to find the other dead soldiers. When he launched the attack later, he couldn't let those dead soldiers escape. Zhao Qian carefully groped around the outside of the canyon. Fortunately, he was an undead creature and almost didn't use his eyes to see. As long as the soul fire was there, he could feel the surrounding situation, so it didn't matter whether it was dark or not. For him it has no effect at all. To be more precise, it will be more beneficial to him when it gets dark. Those dead soldiers appeared on the screen one by one. These dead soldiers were obviously professionally trained. They were in groups of 2, forming a huge defense network around the camp. If anyone wanted to enter the camp, they would be killed. They found out. It was more than an hour later when we finally found out the locations of the 100 dead soldiers. At this time, most of the mercenaries in the camp were already asleep. Even the 3 people who managed the mercenaries and Jialan, they all took a rest, and only the 3 senior warriors were still sitting there motionless. When Green saw the appearance of those 3 people, he couldn't help but darken his face. He found that those 3 people were very murderous and proficient in assassination. Such people were the most difficult to deal with. Zhao Hai took another look at the camp. It was obvious that the people in the camp were very relieved about their camp. Except for the dead soldiers on the periphery, there was not a single guard left in the entire camp. All the mercenaries ran to their own camp. They went to sleep in the tent, which gave Zhao Hai and the others an excellent opportunity. However, Zhao Hai will not attack those people at this time. Those people have just fallen asleep and will fall asleep immediately if there is any noise, which will make their attack more difficult. When Zhao Hai saw that nothing happened in the camp, he turned to Green and said, "Grandpa Green, let's go and take a rest. We will attack in the middle of the night. They are sleeping at that time, so it is most suitable for us to attack." Green looked at the camp, nodded and said, "Okay, let's go and have a rest." After saying that, he stood up and followed Merlin to rest, but Zhao Hai called Zhao Qian back and asked Zhao Hai to Qian and the others were watching Jialan and the others in the living room. If anything happened, they would call him immediately. If he didn't get up by midnight, Zhao Qian would also call him. After explaining these things, Zhao Hai returned to his home's room. Zhao Hai was lying on the bed but couldn't sleep. Today space gave him another surprise. He had the hope of learning magic and fighting spirit, which made Zhao Hai really excited. While lying on the bed, I was thinking about learning magic and fighting spirit in the future, and I fell asleep without realizing it. When Zhao Hai was sleeping soundly, he was suddenly woken up by a notification sound. When Zhao Hai opened his eyes, he saw that the radish was ripe. When Zhao Hai saw that it was getting late, he got up from the bed and put away the radish again. Zhansheng returned to the living room and looked at the time. It was already past 11 o'clock in the middle of the night and Green and the others were also up. Green and the others were staring at the screen in the living room. Although it was dark now, the screen was darker than when they looked at it during the day, but they could still see clearly the situation in the camp. This was the magic of the screen. No matter how dark it is outside, the screen allows you to clearly see things within a diameter of 500 meters. When Green saw Zhao Hai coming in, he hurriedly said, "Master, let's take action, it's getting late." Zhao Hai nodded, turned to look at everyone and said, "Zhao Qian, you go out immediately and sneak into the tent where the magician lives. Remember, you only have one target, that Jialan, and the others you do not care." Zhao Qian responded, and Zhao Hai turned to look at Zhao Zui and the others and said, "Zhao Kai, Zhao Lion, you lead 500 undead creatures to the outside to deal with the dead soldiers. Remember, don't let them escape." "Yes." Zhao Kai and Zhao Lion also responded. Zhao Hai turned to Green again and said, "Grandpa Green, the rest of the matters in this camp are up to you." Green nodded and said, "With the 6 masters, Alien and Zhao Zui, they mainly deal with the Shiling twins. With the alien's mental magic attack, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with the Shiling twins. The remaining 3 leave the high-level warriors to me and Merlin, and leave the small soldiers to the undead creatures. Master, please don't go out, just wait in the space. Zhao Hai had no objection. His mental age was already over 30, so he would naturally not be as impulsive as young people. He knew that he had nothing but the big killer of space, so it was better to be honest. When Green saw that Zhao Hai agreed not to go out, he was relieved. He was really afraid that Zhao Hai had to go out. Green turned to the Wood, Stone and Meg, and said, "You 3 will also participate tonight. A good one, a warrior and a powerful magician, both grow up slowly through constant fighting. Tonight is a good opportunity, but you must be careful and don't show off." All 3 of them responded. After everything was explained, Green turned to Zhao Hai and said, "Master, everything is ready. Let Zhao Qian go out first." Zhao Hai nodded and sent Zhao Qian out, and then he asked Green to take them out. Several points for a main attack were marked, and he could release the undead creatures directly from those points. This is also a newly discovered ability of Zhao Hai. He found that the screen can display everything within a diameter of 500 meters centered on the point entering the space. When he wants to go out, he can choose a point within the 500 meters to go out. There is no need to go out where you come in as before. This was also discovered by Zhao Hai accidentally, but it was very convenient to have this attack, so Zhao Hai asked Green to mark out the main points where they wanted to attack. After a while, he could make the undead creatures appear at those points instantly. At this point, attack the enemy. At this time, Zhao Qian had already sneaked into the camp, and Zhao Qian had obviously used invisibility. Zhao Hai and the others could only see a red dot on the screen sneaking into the camp, but they did not see Zhao Qian. This kind of invisibility is not necessarily magic. There is invisibility in black magic and white magic. The specially trained dead soldiers have also learned invisibility, but the invisibility they learned is a kind of fighting spirit transformation. Invisibility is not magic. Although this kind of invisibility technique is very magical, ordinary high-level magicians and warriors will not care about it. Senior magicians and samurai are not so easy to get close to. Although the invisibility technique can make people invisible to you, but however, the energy fluctuations of magic or fighting spirit on the body cannot be hidden. However, a professionally trained death warrior can completely hide his aura, making it difficult for even a high-level magician to detect it. Green and the others were all staring closely at the black spot representing Zhao Qian. As soon as Zhao Qian sneaked into the magician's tent, they would take action immediately. Just when Zhao Qian had sneaked outside the tent where Jialan and the others lived, and was about to enter the tent, a white light suddenly flashed in front of the tent door. This white light exploded like a bomb, and at the same time, Shinya let out a loud bang. Chapter 101 Volume 1 Chapter 101 Battle. Not good. Green and Merlin exclaimed at the same time. Zhao Hai reacted very quickly. Now he looked at the screen as if he were watching TV. It always felt not so real, but at the same time, this also allowed him to the onlookers looked at this incident in a state of absolute calm. It was precisely because of this that he reacted immediately. With a thought, Zhao Zui and the others immediately appeared at their scheduled location, and Green and the others were also let out. Needless to say, Zhao Hai now knows that Jialan placed a light warning spell in his tent. Zhao Hai and the others did not see when this magic was placed. With this sound, the entire camp suddenly became lively, starting with the magician's tent. A white streak instantly rushed to the sky, illuminating the entire camp. At the same time, a yellow light lit up and surrounded their tent. The 3 senior warriors rushed out of their tent immediately, but when they saw the situation outside, even their faces, which were as cold as 10,000 years of ice, suddenly changed color. Now their entire camp has completely changed. There are huge undead creatures standing everywhere. There are more than 1,000 of these undead creatures. One person is like a crazy buffalo, constantly wandering around the camp, running around. Whenever he sees a living person, he takes a bite. As for the ordinary mercenaries, many of them were trampled to death by these undead creatures before they even came out of the tents. Even those who came out were obviously no match for these undead creatures. A team of 300 people only. After a while there were less than 100 left. What surprised the 3 senior warriors the most was that these undead creatures were highly poisonous. As soon as ordinary warriors encountered these undead creatures, they would be poisoned immediately, and had to use fighting spirit to suppress the spread of poison. If they were not suppressed, they would be poisoned. Then in the blink of an eye his whole body will turn green and he will fall to the ground and die. In their stun time, more than 20 warriors died unexpectedly. All of them died of poisoning. The lethality of these undead creatures was really too great. What shocked the three senior warriors even more was that the dead soldiers deployed outside them found no trace of these undead creatures at all, and so far, they had not been able to come back to rescue them, so it was probably a disaster. Just when they were in a daze, two blue water dragons rushed towards them. The three warriors immediately came to their senses. The three of them shouted at the same time and drew their sidearms. Their weapon is not the common big sword on the mainland, but a thin stabbing sword. This kind of thin stabbing sword is generally not used as a weapon on the mainland. It is used by nobles to wear on their waists for decoration. But the bayonet swords of these three people are obviously different. Their bayonet swords are completely black with a hint of red light. The entire sword is not edged like a traditional sword, but like a large cone, with only the front end. The blade is only sharpened about 10 centimeters above the pass, and the rest of the body is completely round. At first glance, it looks like a strange murder weapon. Two of the three people jumped up to meet the two water dragons, while the other person came straight towards Merlin, obviously hoping to capture the thief first. At the same time, Meg and Mumu also faced off against the ordinary mercenaries. The duel between the masters naturally had nothing to do with them, and they did not dare to participate in it. If they participated, they would probably don't even know how he died. Although the three of them have little battle experience, their strength is there. Those ordinary mercenaries are now frightened. Their 10th level strength has already reached the 7th or 8th level. How can they be the opponents of the three of them? At this moment, there was only a loud bang, and the tent where Jailan and the three of them live split open, and two huge stone men stood up from the tent. These two stone figures are very tall, each about 7 or 8 meters tall. They seem to be made of pieces of boulders. Their round heads have vague human features. Although their huge hands also look like human hands, but it is also made up of large and small boulders, standing there as stable as a mountain. Obviously these two stone giants were summoned by the two stone spirit brothers. They were worthy of the name of the stone spirit twins. These two stone giants were already very powerful just from the looks of the statues. Now the two masters of Xiling were standing beside Jailan, one on the left and the other on the right. Jailan was holding a magic wand in one hand and the magic sealing iron scroll in the other, looking coldly at the undead creatures running around. He hummed, "Shameless villain, do you think there is a chance of winning in a sneak attack? Take the move." After saying that, he opened the demon sealing iron scroll in his hand, and a ball of white light shot straight into the sky like a cannonball, bursting out in the sky. It formed a larger ball of white light and slowly fell down. This white light seemed to have substance. When it fell, it did not disperse, but pressed down like a huge lid. Merlin couldn't help but be stunned when he saw this situation. His face changed and he said, "The holy light is coming, damn it, this kind of magic is sealed in his demon sealing iron scroll." The advent of the holy light is a kind of light magic, but this magic is not really an attack magic, but a large-scale healing magic. It is a 6th level magic, although this kind of magic has no effect on humans in Warcraft. The lethality has a great impact on undead creatures. Although it cannot kill a high-level undead creature, it can cause damage to them. It can be said that it is most effective for Jailan to release this magic at this time, because this magic can greatly affect the combat effectiveness of undead creatures. This will not only affect the undead creatures in the swamp, but also have a great impact on Zhao Zui and the others. Influence. The fight outside was so lively, but Zhao Hai was surprised by another thing in the space. When Zhao Qian was attacked, he thought that Zhao Qian had been killed. Only after he released Green and others, he felt, no, Zhao Qian's spiritual connection with him was not broken. Although he felt like he was injured, he could still fight. But now that his whereabouts were exposed, a surprise attack was impossible, so he had to turn his body around again. Hidden. At this moment, Jailan's holy light magic came down from the sky. Zhao Qian couldn't dodge even if he wanted to. Zhao Hai looked anxiously in the space, but Sehao had no choice. Just when Zhao Hai was anxious, the space prompt sound suddenly came. Radioactive light is found. Absorb the light. This light is radioactive treatment light. It is harmful to robot-like objects in space. Improved robot-like objects, improved into. As the beep disappeared, all the undead creatures in the camp suddenly flashed with green light, and the bones of all the undead creatures became more crystal clear. The undead creatures that looked very painful just now jumped up and down, as if they were the coming of the holy light had no impact on them at all. Zhao Hai stared at all this blankly. He didn't know what was going on. It was said that only the space that could receive this kind of light could absorb and improve it. Now that he had not opened the space crack, how could the space do anything to those things? What about improving the undead? When Zhao Hai was puzzled, he suddenly felt Zhao Qian move. He was stunned when he felt Zhao Qian move, and then he immediately understood why space could improve those undead creatures, because Zhao Qian, Zhao Hai also carries the evil spirit staff on his body, and the evil spirit staff can use all functions in the space, so it can naturally receive this kind of light magic, so that the space can naturally improve those undead creatures. When he figured this out, Zhao Hai couldn't help but laugh. He didn't expect that he was right in not taking back the evil spirit staff just now. If he took it back, those undead creatures would definitely suffer losses today, but that's not necessarily the case now. Both sides fighting in the camp also noticed this. When the holy light was first used, it did have a certain impact on the undead creatures. The movements of the undead creatures slowed down and they seemed to have been splashed on them. It's like sulfuric acid, with bursts of light smoke. But then there was a flash of green light on their bodies, and then they were fine. They seemed to be more vigorous than before. Not to mention the warriors who didn't understand what was going on. Even Jailan didn't understand what was going on. Only Green and Merlin understood that this must have been caused by space. The reason why Zhao Hai dared to let Zhao Qian carry the evil spirit staff around was because the evil spirit staff was bound to him, and no one else could use it. Zhao Qian could only hold it, even if it was snatched away. Zhao Hai wanted to take it back, but it was just a thought, so he didn't rush to take the staff back, and kept letting Zhao Qian hold it, but he didn't expect that there would be an unexpected gain. When Jailan saw the reaction of the undead creatures, his expression changed drastically. As soon as he flipped through the Book of Demons Sealing in his hand, white light spots suddenly appeared around him. Slowly, those light spots began to appear around his body. It formed an angel that glowed with white light. This angel was about the same height as a normal person. He was wearing a white robe and had a pair of huge wings stretched out to a length of nearly 5 meters. This angel held a large white ball in his hand. Shield. The lion pattern on the shield is extremely powerful. This is the 6th level of light magic, angel protection. This angel is not a real angel, but a 3-dimensional projection-like thing composed of light magic elements, which can only be used for defense. After releasing the angel's protection, Jailan put the demon sealing book back into his arms and chanted a spell in a low voice. But at this time, the Shiling brothers had already placed a layer of earth-yellow shield around themselves, pointing at the stone giant and starting a war with the undead creatures. These 10 stone giants are powerful and powerful. They can also throw the stones on their bodies like cannonballs, and then absorb the earth elements from the earth to form their bodies again, which is very difficult to deal with. However, Zhao Hai's undead creatures are not so easy to deal with. These undead creatures are also extremely powerful, and their bodies have been strengthened, and their super living functions have been strengthened by space. They are not afraid of ordinary attacks at all. The 2 stone giants between them were only capable of defense and had no ability to attack. Chapter 102 Volume 1 Chapter 102 Kill with 1 blow. So far, all the ordinary mercenaries have died, and only the 3 senior warriors and Jailan and 3 magicians are left on the scene. Those ordinary servants were already at a disadvantage due to their numbers, and they were no match for the undead creatures, so their failure was inevitable. And none of the dead soldiers on the periphery ran away. They were all wiped out by Zhao Kai and Zhao Lion. If those dead soldiers wanted to fight head-on, they were no match for the samurai, let alone what they had to face. They are still undead creatures that are more powerful than ordinary warriors. Now more than 1,000 undead creatures surrounded the 3 senior warriors and Jailan. It would be difficult for them to escape even if they wanted to. Green and Merlin did not stop and were still attacking the 3 senior warriors. Green had no choice but to do this. The murderous aura in those 3 senior warriors was so strong that they could be identified as killers at a glance. If such people could be given some breathing space, chance, they might escape. And Jailan and the others were surrounded by undead creatures on 3 levels on the left and 3 on the right. It was impossible for them to escape. Jailan also felt very depressed. Originally, light magic could restrain black magic, but he did not expect that such a perverted existence as space would make those undead creatures no longer afraid of light magic. His light magic, the lethality of the undead creatures on the ground has been reduced a lot. Now he is really unable to attack those undead creatures. The Shiling brothers are not having a good time now. The magic they are best at is summoning stone giants. However, although the stone giants are very powerful in combat, they require a lot of magic power. The most important thing is that you need to go there. Careful control, so once they summon the stone giant, it will be difficult to use other magic. If we consider the general situation, summoning the stone giant today is the best choice for them to fight. The stone giant is extremely powerful and can also throw rocks for long-range attacks. It is not afraid of poison and is tall, so it will not suffer against ordinary undead creatures. But it is a pity that what they encountered today were these undead creatures that had been strengthened by space. Although these guys were the first to be taken out to practice alone, they could not defeat the stone giant, but with so many of them together, the stone giant could only resist. When Jialan found that his light magic was useless against the undead creatures, he immediately changed his strategy and used a commonly used trick of light magic to stand behind his teammates to support them. His attacks are of no use against undead creatures, but the healing skills in his light magic are still very effective. You must know that the reason why light magicians are famous on the mainland is because of their restraint against black magicians. In addition, they are most famous for their healing skills. They are the most popular people on the continent because their light magic is the most effective healing magic on the continent. In addition to healing injuries, it can also help people heal quickly. Of restorative magic. Although their attack power is not weak when they reach the level of advanced magicians, compared with other types of magic, they are relatively weak. It is precisely because of this that once there is a light type in a team, everyone will protect the magician in the safest place, let him heal everyone's injuries, and help everyone restore their magic power. Of course, he will also release some light attack magic from time to time to help attack. Now they are using this method. The two heroes of Xiling protect Jialan in the middle. Jialan restores their magic power from time to time, and also uses light magic to attack the undead creatures from time to time. At the same time, the three senior warriors were also thinking of ways to slowly get closer to Jialan and the others. Apparently, they also discovered the fighting style of Jialan and the others, and wanted to come over to get a share of the pie and let Jialan support them. But how could their little tricks be hidden from Green? As soon as Green discovered their intentions, he immediately stepped up the offensive and asked the undead creatures to cooperate. Although the undead creatures are now under the command of Zhao Zui and the others, those undead creatures are very smart. They know from the aliens that Green and the others have a higher status than Zhao Zui and the others. These undead creatures will naturally listen. Green's Zhao Hai sat quietly in the space, watching the battle outside with all his attention. He didn't even notice the notification sound coming from the space. The first ones who couldn't stand it were the three warriors. They couldn't get the magic support of Jialan. In addition, they were besieged by two masters, Green and Merlin, and Meg and Zhao Zui were beside them. Trouble, plus those undead creatures, it's good that they can survive for such a long time. Although the three warriors were very powerful, they were besieged by so many people and had to be careful not to be poisoned by the poison of the undead. If they had not received the most rigorous training, they would have been killed by Green and the others long ago. Even so, their situation has reached the most dangerous stage now. All three of them have wounds on their bodies, and these wounds are still poisonous. They have to use fighting spirit to suppress the poison on the wounds, otherwise they are afraid that he will be poisoned and die soon. It is precisely because they have to allocate part of their fighting energy to suppress the toxins in their bodies that their attack power and defense power have dropped drastically. In addition, the attackers are an 8th level warrior and an 8th level advanced magician. Teachers are not that easy to deal with, so the three of them are almost unable to hold on anymore. However, the three of them seemed to be very good at combining attacks, so even though they were hit like this, it was really not that easy for Green and the others to kill him for a while. The reason why Zhao Hai is so concerned about this place is because Zhao Qian has already sneaked in and is preparing to attack one of the three people. Zhao Qian's original target of attack was Jialan and the others, but Jialan and the others were magicians. During battles, they habitually blessed themselves with protective magic. With Zhao Qian's current ability, it was simply impossible for the three of them to attack. When the senior magicians were blessed with protective magic, they could kill them with one hit, so he had to change his target and turn it to the three senior warriors. But high-level warriors are similar to magicians. When they fight, they will definitely use their fighting spirit to protect themselves, so he has never had a chance. However, as time went by, this opportunity appeared. After a long battle and poisoning, the three senior warriors' fighting spirit protection was much lower, giving Zhao Qian a chance. Zhao Qian looked at the three people calmly. He was still waiting. For a killer, patience is the most important thing. Without patience, they would not be able to complete the task. He was waiting for the best time. At this moment, an opportunity appeared. Merlin's water dragon technique hit the three of them at once. Although water dragon technique is not an advanced magic, the water dragon technique used by a great magician is equivalent to the full strength of a high-level warrior. One blow, so the three warriors did not dare to neglect, and two of them immediately rushed towards the two water dragons, preparing to fight off the two water dragons like the previous two times. At this moment, Zhao Qian moved, his figure suddenly appeared in midair, and the stabbing sword in his hand stabbed a senior warrior in the back. After a night of fighting, the senior warrior's reaction was no longer as sensitive as it was at the beginning. He didn't feel it until Zhao Qian's stabbing sword was about to hit him, but it was already too late. With a bang, Zhao Qian's stabbing sword penetrated the back of the senior warrior's head, and the tip of the sword stretched out from his mouth, killing him with one blow. After stabbing the sword, Zhao Qian did not draw out the sword at all, but let go, and then several darts flew out of his hands and went straight to the other person who was attacking the water dragon. After the dart was thrown, Zhao Qian also fell to the ground. He rolled on the ground and disappeared in front of everyone. At this time, the body of the senior warrior he killed fell to the ground. Another warrior finally knocked down those darts, but he failed to block Merlin's water dragon technique. He was knocked solidly to the ground by the water dragon technique and fell to the ground. Before he could jump up, at that moment, those undead creatures rushed up and tore him into pieces in an instant. As soon as another warrior saw that his two brothers were killed, his eyes were trained. He roared wildly and rushed towards Green with a stabbing sword. As soon as he moved, he felt a black ball. It entangled him and made him feel trapped. Dark magic imprisonment. He screamed wildly, and with a flash of black on his body, he broke away from the magic released by Xiao Zui, but suddenly he felt someone tripped on his foot. He looked down and saw that his foot had been entangled in a ball of green energy, which made him even more furious. He naturally recognized that this was just a low-level magic of the wind system, wind rope technique. Normally, he would not care about this kind of magic at all, but at this time, such a low-level magic, although it is impossible to do anything to him, it can slow down his movement speed. Just as he was breaking free from the wind rope technique, Merlin's Ice Blade Storm arrived. Ice Blade Storm was not an ordinary low-level magic, but a high-level magic. This magic condensed water magic energy into the shape of an ice blade, and then let these ice blades rotate like a tornado. The whole thing is a giant meat grinder. The man's face couldn't help but change. He knew how powerful this kind of magic was. He immediately shouted deeply. The black energy on his body loomed, and the stabbing sword in his hand turned pure black. The sword was swung away like an ice blade storm, but the ice blade storm has not disappeared but has weakened a bit. Even so, its lethality is still very strong. This man was impatient and swung 5 swords in succession to disperse the ice blade storm. He had just dispersed the ice blade storm when a big sword flashed with green light and pierced into his chest like lightning. Throat. Green took action, using his azure sword energy to kill with one strike. Chapter 1-3 Volume 1 Chapter 1-3 I will shoot you to death Chapter 1-3 I'll beat you to death in the blink of an eye. 3 senior warriors died in battle. If Zhao Qian had not appeared, these 3 warriors would not have been so easy to die in battle. Although a killer cannot change a war, if a killer is used well, it can change the outcome of a battle. After the death of those 3 senior warriors, everyone else concentrated on Jialan and the others, and Jialan and the others' already unsightly faces became even more ugly. They also knew that they might not be able to escape today. They were surrounded by more than 1,000 undead creatures and wanted to escape. They really didn't have the confidence to do so. Jialan looked at the slowly gathering undead creatures, his eyes flashed with cold light, and he said in a deep voice, Jialan requests to meet Mr. Zhao Hai. As soon as he said these words, Green and the others' offensive stopped for a moment, and they didn't know what to do for a moment. However, Zhao Hai noticed in the space that this Jialan's eyes were shining with cold light. He must be unsafe. He was kind-hearted, so he immediately gave Zhao Kai an order in his mind, asking Zhao Kai to pretend to be him and go see Jialan. At the same time, Zhao Hai also issued an order, asking Zhao Qian to hand the evil spirit cane to Zhao Kai. You must know that Zhao Kai is an undead creature. He cannot speak. He communicates with people through spiritual contact. In this way, the secret will be revealed immediately when seeing Jialan, but as long as Zhao Hai holds the evil spirit cane, it will be different. Zhao Hai can speak through the evil spirit cane without being heard by Jialan. Moreover, Jialan has never met Zhao Hai, Zhao Kai. They are also wearing black magic robes now, so I believe Jialan can't tell them apart. This is just a matter of Zhao Hai changing his mind. The reason why he chose Zhao Kai is because Zhao Kai and Zhao Lian just cleaned up the dead soldiers in the periphery, so Jialan has not seen Zhao Kai. I believe he wouldn't be suspicious. Under the cover of those undead creatures, Zhao Qian unknowingly handed the evil spirit staff to Zhao Kai's hand. After Zhao Kai took the staff, he immediately got on the back of an undead creature. The undead creatures are not aliens. Zhao Hai has left the aliens very close to Jialan and the others, waiting for the aliens to use spiritual magic to give them a hard blow. He had never found a chance before. After all, the aliens' mental magic attacks were not very strong and could be used for sneak attacks. If there was a real head-on confrontation, he could not be the opponent of Jialan, an 8th-level magician. The position where Zhao Kai stood was not close to Jialan and the others, about 30 meters away. This position was relatively safe, Normal magic could not attack such a long-distance target, even if the opponent used Stone Giant to throw it. When the stone came to attack, Zhao Hai had time to dodge it. Zhao Hai stood on top of the undead creature. Green and the others were stunned. They had been with Zhao Hai day and night, so they naturally recognized that it was not Zhao Hai. However, Zhao Hai and the others had similar statures, so Green could not tell the difference. It's one of them, Zhao Hai. Although he couldn't tell which one of them was Zhao Hai, Green fully agreed with Zhao Hai's approach. Based on his life experience, it was natural to see that Jialan was not well-intentioned when he called Zhao Hai out this time. He originally wanted to remind Zhao Hai, but when he thought of his own reminder, Jialan might feel that something was wrong, so all he could do now was to keep a close eye on Jialan and attack immediately as soon as they made any movement. But as soon as he saw Zhao Hai, he felt relieved. Zhao Hai could ensure his own safety by letting Zhao Hai replace him. For Green and the others, it didn't matter if Zhao Hai was sacrificed. As long as Zhao Hai was safe, everything would be easy. After Zhao Hai stood still, Zhao Hai's voice came from the people. I wonder why Mr. Jialan saw me? Does he want to have a heart-to-heart talk with me? Zhao Hai's words were quite damaging. He was obviously mocking Jialan. Jialan's face was livid. He was a proud man. He had been smart since he was a child. Otherwise, he would not have become an 8-year-old at such an old age. A super light magician. It is precisely because he is a genius that almost everyone follows him and holds him in their hands without saying a harsh word. He has received such ridicule. However, Jialan still endured this breath and said in a deep voice, Mr. Zhao Hai, please don't ridicule me. People who are wise don't speak secretly. Mr. Zhao Hai knows my name, so he naturally knows what we are here for. This time it is our fault to disturb Mr. Zhao Hai. I am here to apologize to Mr. Dao. As long as Mr. is willing to let us go, I am willing to give him the magic sealing iron scroll I use. I wonder what your opinion is, sir. As he spoke, he held up his hands. He reached into his arms and took out the demon sealing iron scroll. Zhao Hai's voice then came. Why should I let you go? As long as I kill you, I will definitely get the demon sealing iron scroll. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard Jialan's angry voice shouting loudly, then you go to hell. After saying that, he opened the demon sealing iron scroll and a white light shot straight into the sky. Green and Merlin both secretly thought it was wrong. They moved almost at the same time. One of them supported a magic shield on Zhao Hai, and the other was like Jialan attacking. But Green's attack was blocked by the two stone giants, and although Merlin's shield came up to support it, it was of no use at all. The white light that flew up from Jialan's book flew into the sky, and immediately it turned into a huge lightsaber and struck straight at Zhao Hai's body. Merlin knew something was wrong as soon as she saw the sword light, because she recognized this sword light. This sword light was exactly the most unsolvable type of attack magic in light magic. It was called Judgment Blade, and it was a 7th level magic. This kind of magic consumes a lot of mana and takes a very long time to cast. However, the attack power is very strong and almost ignores any defense. Even an 8th level strongman would not have blessed himself with a lot of protection in advance. If you don't cover it, you will be struck to death with a sword. The shield that Mei Yao released in a hurry could not block the attack of the Judgment Blade at all. So when Merlin saw that the magic released by Jialan this time was actually the Judgment Blade, he knew that Zhao Hai was in trouble this time. Phew! But when the sword fell, Zhao Hai and the undead creatures around him suddenly disappeared. The lightsaber struck the open space, and a 5-meter-long sword mark appeared on the ground. This sword mark is more than 1 meter deep and half a meter wide, which shows the power of this sword. Jialan's originally proud face couldn't help but froze when he saw the situation. Even if he was a fool, he knew that he had done a useless job. What's more, he was not a fool. He just didn't understand that this area of immortality all living things have gone there. He didn't understand, but Merlin and the others understood very well. Zhao Hai and the others had been put away by Zhao Hai just now. Although the light sword fell very fast, it was not as fast as Zhao Hai's thoughts. Zhao Hai's thoughts, Zhao Hai and the others were put away. When the sword light disappeared, Zhao Hai and the others appeared there again, as if they had not moved at all just now. Zhao Hai's voice came again. I knew you would do this, and I have been guarding against you for a long time. Grandson, just wait for death. The last sentence is read in Beijing dialect. Jialan came back to his senses and looked at Zhao Hai with a sneer. Really? I don't think I will die here today. Brothers of the Shi family, this place will be left to you. I will avenge you. After saying this, he said once after opening the demon sealing iron scroll, white light lit up again. This time, the white light completely enveloped Jialan, and slowly, Jialan's body was no longer visible. When Merlin saw the white light, he quickly said, "Attack that white light, it's the light magic holy light escape." She was telling Green and the others, but Zhao Hai also heard it. Although Zhao Hai was sitting in the space, he kept staring at Jialan with murderous intent in his eyes. This time he was really angry. Fortunately, he was careful just now. If he went out by himself, it would be dangerous. He didn't dare guarantee that if a big sword is struck from his head, he can still be so calm. As soon as he heard Merlin's words, Zhao Hai couldn't help but curse loudly. "I'll slap you to death, you bastard." After saying this, a huge fly swatter appeared on the white light and slapped it hard. This fly swatter is a function that was added after the ranch was opened. It has a 10% chance of killing with one hit. It can also be taken outside the space and used. It is currently Zhao Heihui's only single-target attack skill. Anyone who has played the farm game knows that the swing speed of the fly swatter is related to your hand speed. The faster you press the fly swatter, the faster the fly swatter will be. However, Zhao Hai has no advantages. The only advantage is that his hands are very fast, at least a little faster than normal. The speed of hand speed is directly related to a person's reaction ability, which means that Zhao Hai's reaction is a little faster than that of a normal person. Although it is only a little, it is already very good, so this time he slapped Jialan so hard that it almost happened in one go. He swung out more than a dozen swatters in an instant. You must know that the current fly swatter is not controlled by hands, but directly controlled by Zhao Hai with his head. The 10% one-hit kill rate is not very high, which means that if you hit 10 times, only one will be a sure kill, and the other few hits are normal attacks, and normal attacks are not effective for holy light escape. There's no use saying it. Space is a digitized thing. One characteristic of digitized things is that they will not make mistakes and will only follow a fixed pattern. This is an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is of course that they will not make mistakes. The disadvantage is that they will not make mistakes. It just won't change, which means that the 10% one-hit kill rate will not increase. On average, one of the 10 attacks will kill. And Zhao Hai just swung out more than a dozen swatters in an instant, just in time to catch up with a one-hit kill, and saw that the fly swatter was like hitting a big fly, swatting the white light with a swatting sound. It was scattered, and Jialan was knocked to the ground with one slap. Jialan was now like a pile of mud, as if all the bones in his body had been smashed by this blow, and his 7 orifices were bleeding, and he could not survive before his eyes. Chapter 104 Volume 1 Chapter 104 Strengthening Space Attack. Chapter 104 Strengthen Space Aggressiveness. This situation made everyone present feel confused. They had never seen such an attack method before. Even Green and the others didn't know what was going on, but they have become accustomed to it. Now they are accustomed to attribute the things that happen around them that are beneficial to them and cannot be explained to Zhao Hai, so they were only surprised for a moment. But the Shilingshu Engis were stunned and killed them. Zhao Qian had been lurking nearby, waiting for an opportunity. When he saw them in a daze, Zhao Qian immediately moved and appeared behind the Shilingshu Engis. The stabbing sword in his hand stabbed directly into one person's body. His sword made no noise at all and was silent, but it was very powerful. This sword pierced the shield of one of the 2 heroes of Xiling in one go, and in the frightened eyes of that person, it penetrated his body. When the other man saw that his brother was being attacked, his eyes turned red and he said loudly, "Brother, thief, I will kill you." After saying that, the stone giant did not care about the undead creatures and turned around. The punch was like Zhao Qian's. At this moment, the man who was stabbed by Zhao Qian fell to the ground in pain. The stone giant he summoned also shook slightly and was about to dissipate. At this moment, an empty crack suddenly appeared under the stone giant's feet, and the stone giant fell down. At the same time, the alien spiritual magic was finally launched. This time, there was only one stop target for him, the uninjured one. One of the 2 heroes of Xiling. Mental attacks are very harmful to a magician. If it were normal times, a magician like Xiling Shuangji would be able to block it, but now he has lost his mind and only thinks about revenge. Naturally, it was impossible to block it, and he was hit immediately. He screamed, and blood spurted out from his eyes and nose at the same time. The stone giant also lost control and was about to disappear as it staggered. At this time, space cracks appeared again, and the stone giant was received again, and the younger brother of the 2 Xiling heroes who was mentally attacked was also stabbed to death by Zhao Qian's sword. The one-night battle ended here. When Green saw that the battle was over, he immediately said loudly, "Clean the battlefield, Zhao Zui, you guys work." Zhao Zui and the others responded and started working immediately. In fact, their work was very simple. To become an undead creature, they only need to select one of the 3 high-level warriors to transform into a high-level undead creature. However, this takes time. Now they start with others. Anyway, these people only need to become ordinary undead creatures. At this time, Zhao Hai was also sorting out his harvest. He had brought the 2 stone giants into the castle just now. The moment he took the stone giants into the castle, he heard the space prompt sound. The stone elf enters the space, and the space increases its attack power. It summons the stone elf. The number of times it can be used is 10 times per day. The stone elf's usage time limit is 24 hours. This was an unexpected surprise for Zhao Hai. He had not thought that bringing this stone giant into space would be such a good thing. Just when I was happy, I heard a space prompt sound: strengthen the stone elf toxin, extract the stone elf's throwing ability, and add the throwing ability to the robot-like object. This is really an unfinished surprise. Here comes another surprise, which increases the throwing ability of undead creatures in the space. In other words, these undead creatures have the means to attack from a distance? As for the long-range attack weapons used by those undead creatures, Zhao Hai almost knew it. It should be the spikes growing on their bodies. You can't let them throw their claws out, right? When the second stone giant was received into the space, there was no response from the space. Only then did Zhao Hai discover that as soon as the stone giant was received into the space, it immediately turned into a yellow light and disappeared. It disappeared into the mists surrounding the space. Zhao Hai didn't pay attention. He smiled slightly, and with a thought, a stone giant appeared in front of Zhao Hai. This stone giant was very different from the stone giant summoned by the stone spirit twins. This stone giant's body was covered with ink. It is green and has a crystal clear feeling. It looks like it is made of large pieces of emerald, and is closer to the human shape. The head is made into a big skull, but it is not like the undead creature. Flashing with soul fire, the stone giant is just an ordinary skull. How do you feel when a large skeleton about 8 meters high stands in front of you? Zhao Hai didn't feel anything at all. Anyway, this thing was his now, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Zhao Hai did not put away the stone giant, but asked the stone giant to stand aside. The slaves looked at the big guy with some horror, but they also knew that this thing must have been summoned by Zhao Hai. In addition to being frightened, apart from that, I am more curious. At this moment, Zhao Hai smelled a strong peach fragrance. He turned around and saw that this fragrance came from the magic peach tree. Now, there was a crystal-like magic peach tree on it. A big magic peach. This magic peach is as big as a basketball. The pink peel seems to have light flowing on it. It is so tender that it will break if touched. At the base of the peach, 4 leaves hold the big peach like 4 open hands, making the peach even more like a fairy peach in the heavenly palace. Zhao Hai couldn't help but feel happy when he saw this situation. He had just heard a prompt sound coming from the space, but his attention was on the battlefield outside at that time, so he didn't hear what the prompt sound said. Now at first glance, this is what the prompt's tone said. Zhao Hai thought, and the 2 peaches were immediately received into the space. The peach tree seemed to have become much smaller in an instant, but it was still very beautiful. Zhao Hai moved his hand, and a huge peach appeared in his hand. This peach was really big and heavy. The most important thing was that this peach was very soft and soft to the touch. It's very comfortable and the smell is really fragrant. You don't need to eat it, just smelling it has a sweet smell. Zhao Hai pinched the big peach gently, but found that although the skin of the peach looked thin, it was very tough. He pinched it a few times and it didn't break. Zhao Hai couldn't see what the reason was, so he simply stopped looking. He threw the big peach into the space with a flip of his hand and turned to look outside. At this time, he suddenly noticed that the fire dingfish in the hot spring were different. Zhao Hai walked over and took a look, and found that the fire dingfish in the pond had grown to more than 20 centimeters long, and it became more and more coquettish, and the color really looked like it was on fire. What surprised Zhao Hai the most was that each of these fish seemed to be lying there lazily, motionless, which was completely different from their previous liveliness. This made Zhao Hai feel stunned. He looked at Wennerly's situation, and found that the fiery red water plants used as feed in the hot spring did not seem to be reduced at all. It seemed that there was no shortage of feed at all. That is how the matter. When Zhao Hai was puzzled, he suddenly saw the magic peach tree. Zhao Hai couldn't help but pat his head. He was so focused on watching the battle outside just now that he didn't notice anything else at all. Isn't it this? Wennerly's croakers are also mature. Zhao Hai couldn't help but feel moved when he thought of this, and one of the fire tench fish was immediately rushed to the middle of the hot spring. There was a small circle there specifically for these mature fish to give birth to cubs. Sure enough, the fish had just been driven into the middle of the hot spring, and it lay there motionless, as if dead, motionless, like a root. Zhao Hai then patted his head and said, "Damn, it seems that there were 2 beeps just now and I didn't hear them." After saying that, he thought about it and rushed the remaining fish to that place. In the circle, Zhao Hai breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the fish lying there giving birth. At the same time, he also felt helpless. This space was really amazing, regardless of whether the fish were male or female. As long as you enter the space, you can give birth to babies. This is the benefit of digitization. Zhao Hai shook his head and stopped caring. Anyway, this thing just gave birth to cubs, which was nothing special. On the contrary, it was good for him, so why did he care so much? After a while, all 5 fish had given birth to their young, and each fish laid 30 eggs, no more than 1, no less. This is also a shortcoming of digitalization. Zhao Hai believes that the croakers growing naturally outside must not only lay so many eggs. He had an egg, but there was no other way. Space was stipulated in this way and he was very impatient. However, Zhao Hai also believed that the eggs laid by many fire-tench fish outside would definitely not have the survival rate of these eggs in space. He believed that the survival rate of fish eggs in space would definitely reach 100%. Zhao Hai immediately said, "Hatch the fish eggs." The red light in the hot spring pool flashed, and 150 fish eggs turned into 150 small fish swimming around in the water. Zhao Hai's face was filled with joy as he watched the fish swimming happily in the water. Small fish. These small fish have turned into gold coins in his eyes. After standing at the edge of the hot spring for a short while, Zhao Hai added another 1,000 points of feed into the hot spring pool, and then turned around and entered the house. He wanted to see what the situation was like outside. As soon as Zhao Hai entered the space, he felt that Zhao Zui was taking him in. He quickly came to the screen and saw that Zhao Zui and the others had basically finished cleaning the battlefield. A lot of new skeletons had also been made. Zhao Hai didn't care. Collect everyone into the space. As soon as those skeletons entered the space, Zhao Hai heard the space prompt sound. It was discovered that low-level robot-like objects entered the space, and the low-level robot-like objects were strengthened. Discover offensive magic props. Detect props. Props can collect magic. Extract functions. Strengthen spatial attack capabilities. Extract magic from props. Strengthen spatial attack capabilities. Extract magic from robot-like objects to enhance spatial aggression. Extraction completed. Host appears. You can use dark magic, earth magic, and light magic. Because the host gene is defective, the magic needs to be used through the evil spirit staff. Chapter 105 Volume 1 Chapter 105 Input Magic Green and the others all heard this beep. They have become accustomed to the way the beep speaks these days, and now they understand what the beep means. In other words, space now has attack capabilities, and all of these attack capabilities can be used through the evil spirit staff, but only Zhao Hai can use the evil spirit staff. In other words, Zhao Hai can now use magic, or 3 types of magic: light, dark, and earth, which are rare on the mainland. Zhao Hai was also very happy. He really didn't expect that space would have such an ability. It would actually increase its attack power. He could actually use magic through the evil spirit staff. This was definitely a surprise to him. Good news. Green quickly walked up to Zhao Hai and said, "Master, did the notification sound just now say that you can use magic?" Zhao Hai smiled and nodded. "Yes, that's what I mean, hahaha. From today on, as long as I hold the evil spirit staff, I can use light, dark and earth magic. If you turn wind, water, and fire magicians into undead creatures, I can also use the magic of those 3 types, ha. Green clapped his hands vigorously and laughed and said, "Great, this is really great, ha. The young master's future safety is guaranteed." Zhao Hai nodded. At this time, Merlin and the others also gathered around, all of them excited. This news was really important to them. They had been worried about Zhao Hai's safety. Now Zhao Hai has with this ability, safety is completely guaranteed, and no matter what kind of magician Zhao Hai pretends to be in the future, he will not be discovered. Zhao Hai looked at the few people and smiled slightly. "Grandpa Green, everything has been cleaned up outside? Has the high-level undead creature changed? Can you tell me anything?" Green shook his head and said, "Not yet. The high-level undead creature hasn't been taken yet, and it's getting late now, so I asked Zhao Zui and the others to bring a corpse in, hoping they would do it in space, so that it would be more accurate." "A little." Zhao Hai nodded, then he thought of something, glanced at it, turned to Green and said, "Grandpa Green, I think you can do it this time, just to see if the evil spirit staff can be used." Green was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Zhao Hai didn't say anything more. With a wave of his hand, the evil spirit staff that Zhao Kai was holding came into his hand. After Zhao Hai took the staff, a white light immediately emitted from the staff and shot into Zhao Hai's head. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, then dizzy, and a large amount of information was poured into his head. Zhao Hai knew something was not right, so he immediately said to Green, "Grandpa Green, I'm going to go upstairs and sleep for a while and keep those corpses in good hands until I wake up." After saying that, he ignored everyone and immediately went upstairs. Although Green and the others didn't understand what Zhao Hai was going to do, they also knew that they must be concerned about the white light just now. Before Green could say anything, Meg immediately ran over, grabbed Zhao Hai and helped him to go upstairs. Green looked at the two of them with some worry, but didn't say anything. He just asked Zhao Zui and the others to carry the body to the back of the house, and asked Merlin to help the slaves. Green also noticed the stone giant standing aside, but now the stone giant was more like a statue, motionless, and he couldn't see anything at all, but he also knew that Zhao Hai received 2 stone giants in the space. Now looking at the appearance of the stone giant, I almost know that this stone giant may have been strengthened by space. Although Green doesn't know much about space, he still knows some of its functions. Extracting advantages and strengthening other items is a very powerful function of space, at least in Green's opinion. Fortunately, when Zhao Hai took those skeletons into the space, he threw them directly into the warehouse. Otherwise, there really wouldn't be room for so many people. However, Green soon discovered something different. He noticed the hot springs and magic peach tree. When they went out to fight, there was already a small fruit on the magic peach tree, but it was not ripe, and there were only 5 fire tench in the hot spring. But now, the small fruit on the magic peach tree was gone, and the hot spring, the number of fire dingke inside suddenly increased. Green knew that the magic peaches must have matured, and the fire ding fish had also laid eggs, which made Green a little excited. The arrival of the fire ding fish is a trivial matter. It just brings some income to the Buddha family. This income may not be too high. It does not mean that the fire ding fish cannot be sold. On the contrary, no matter how many fire ding fish there are, they can be sold. It can be sold, but they don't dare to sell so much. What Green pays most attention to is the magic peach. The magic peach allows them to collect a magic pet. For a strong man, what he desires most is a magic pet, so Green is particularly concerned about the magic peach. After looking around, Green waved and called Ju and an over. The two quickly walked to Green's side and saluted him nervously. Although they had been restored to civilian status by Zhao Hai, they did not dare to. There is no disrespect to Green at all. You must know that even Zhao Hai respects Green, let alone them. Green looked at the two people, smiled slightly and said, "Don't be so nervous, I just want to ask, did the young master just collect the magic peach?" After speaking, he pointed at the magic peach tree. Ju nodded quickly and said, "Yes, manager, the young master just collected 2 magic peaches and put them in the warehouse." Green nodded, smiled and said to the two of them, "The space in the space is limited now, so you can only feel aggrieved. Just help the young master take care of those slaves. In the future, when our environment improves, I will tell the young master, let the young master make it up to you." Ju and In quickly bowed together and said, "I don't dare. It is our honor to serve the young master." Green said with a smile, "Our Buddha family must reward those who have meritorious service. Don't worry, the young master and I have seen your performance. Go and have a rest." The two agreed and turned around to leave. Merlin had been standing behind Green. When he saw the two of them leaving, he walked to Green and said, "Old man, this time the young master collected 2 magic peaches, which means that you can get 2 magic peach cores. What do you think? How to divide 2 magic peach cores?" Green thought for a while and said, "I'll take one first, but you and Meg won't take it. You two must always stay with the young master to protect him. Although the young master can use magic now, you also know that the young master's body know I will feel more at ease with you by my side. I will keep the 2 wood and stone ones for now. Their strength is too low now. When their strength is high, I will let them use it. There is still one left. I plan to talk to the young master and give Laura a good magic peach core to get closer to Laura, which will be more beneficial to us. Anyway, when we have money in the future, we can still grow magic peaches." Merlin nodded and said, "That's right." This time, the young master gave Meg the demon sealing book. Now that Meg has the ability to protect herself, there is no need to worry about him. There is no need to worry about the demon pet. The young master has it. The alien is here and Meg and I are following the young master, so we don't have to worry about not having a mount. Now it's you, what kind of monster are you going to get this time? Green thought for a while and said, "I'm not in a hurry. As you know, you don't just accept a magic pet, especially this kind of magic pet. My ideal magic pet is Nightmare, but Nightmare only has magic abyss and flames. There are islands there, but these 2 places are too far away from us. I don't have time to go there now, so I can only wait and see. If there are other monsters suitable for me, I can take them. If it doesn't work, I'll go to the demon abyss when I get the chance." Merlin nodded and said, "Okay, Nightmare is indeed a good mount, but now the Buddha family can't do without you, you still have to wait. After all, if you really catch Nightmare, don't accept it." "What kind of mount is this?" "I'll keep it for the young master. When the young master raises a more Nightmare like mine, You can take it as you want. Green laughed loudly and said, "Yes, you are right, ha ha ha, with this space, we still have no mounts." As he said this, he followed Merlin into the house. As soon as they entered the villa, Green immediately said to Merlin, "Merlin, go prepare some food." The young master got up in the middle of the night. We have been working together until now, and he should be hungry. When the young master wakes up later, it will be time to eat something. Merlin nodded, turned to the wood and stone and said, "You two should go and take a rest." Just as he was saying this, he saw Meg coming down from upstairs quietly. Merlin said quickly, "How is it? Are you okay, master?" Meg frowned and said, "It's not very good." The young master doesn't seem to be asleep, but more like he has fainted. He is frowning all the time, as if he has a headache. Green and Merlin both frowned, and then Green shook his head and said, "It should be fine." The young master was hit by the white light from the staff. The staff is the young master's property, so it shouldn't be a problem. Harm the young master? Okay, Merlin, go and prepare food. Meg, go to the young master's room and guard. If the young master wakes up, come and call me right away. Meg responded, then turned and went upstairs. When Merlin saw Meg going upstairs, he frowned and said to Green, "Are you really okay? Nothing can happen to the young master." Green shook his head and said, "It will be okay. This dimension is closely related to the young master. If something happened to the young master, this dimension would have ceased to exist. If nothing happens in the space now, it proves that the young master is fine. I think that white light should be it is something similar to the orc's inherited songs. It may be to let the young master learn how to use those magics. As you know, the young master has never learned magic before, and now he has been stuffing the 3 series of magic into the young master. In his head, it's normal for him to have a headache. Jiang is still old and hot. Although Green doesn't know much about space, he is well informed and has roughly guessed what Zhao Hai is like. Yes, Zhao Hai is learning those magics now, but he doesn't need to learn either. Just get used to the names and functions of those magics. Even so, there is enough information. Fortunately, the space has digitized all the information and then input it into Zhao Hai's head. If Zhao Hai had to memorize it by himself, if so, I'm afraid he won't be able to memorize it in a few years. Chapter 106 Volume 1 Chapter 106 Can Do Magic. Zhao Hai only felt that his head hurt, Fei Chang's pain, and there were a lot of things in his head. The feeling was really more painful than losing sleep for 10 days. Zhao Hai now has a very strange feeling. He seems to be dreaming, but he also feels that his soul has transcended his body and is in a very magical state. In fact, Zhao Hai still knows too little about magic. How long is the history of written records on Earth? It's only a few thousand years, but how long have there been written records here on Ark continent? Tens of thousands of years. In tens of thousands of years, it took the Earth several thousand years to invent mechanical civilization to a point that no one before us could imagine. The mechanical civilization here on Ark continent has almost come to a standstill. In these tens of thousands of years, they are all used to develop magical civilization. Under such circumstances, to what extent can magical civilization develop? Zhao Hai had never thought about it before. Zhao Hai absorbed 3 magics in a row. These 3 magics are not very complete, but like the 5 elements on the Earth, these 3 magics are mutually reinforcing and can evolve into countless changes. There are many kinds of magic in this world. Many magicians learn 2 or 3 magics and finally create a new magic. There are endless examples of this. It is precisely for this reason that over the years, the number of prime ministers of various magics on the Ark continent has increased exponentially. Until now, even if you are a great magician in a series of magic, you dare not say that you have learned it. All magic in this series, because that is impossible. And from whom did Zhao Hai learn these 3 magics? An 8th level great magician of the light system, 2 great magicians of the 7th earth magic system, and the rest are the 3 series magic learned from Zhao Zui and the other senior black magicians who have lived for who knows how many times. The amount of magic he has learned is a very terrifying number. It can be said that the amount of information Zhao Hai received this time was definitely the largest in the past few times, and it was much more than the previous times combined. It is precisely because of this that Zhao Hai is in such pain this time, but the greater the pain, the greater the benefits. This time he has obtained 3 types of magic. It is not uncommon for him to go out and pretend to be a light mage, or there is no problem if he is an earth magician, and there is no problem if he pretends to be a black magician. Zhao Hai didn't know how long he had been lying there, but to be honest, the bed in the villa was much more comfortable than lying on the straw bed. Zhao Hai was really reluctant to get up while lying on the bed. After lying for a while, Zhao Hai got up from the bed and stretched out, but suddenly he was stunned because he didn't feel any pain at all. On the contrary, now he felt refreshed and his mind was unprecedented. Clearly, this made Zhao Hai stunned. At this time, the space prompt sound came. Because the host cannot receive too much information at the moment, the host's brain is forcibly developed. The total amount of the host's brain development is now 15%. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect such a good thing. You must know that the human brain is the most mysterious existence. According to people's research, the human brain is only developed by 3% to 3% at most. Around 4, if he can develop his brain to about 7 to 8%, he is already a genius. For someone like Einstein, space has suddenly developed his brain to 15%. Doesn't that mean is he a genius among geniuses? Zhao Hai was just feeling proud when he heard Meg's voice. Master, are you awake? Zhao Hai quickly stood up and said, You're awake, come in. Meg then opened the door and walked in. When she saw Zhao Hai standing there, she quickly said, Master, are you okay? I just saw that you seem to be in pain. Zhao Hai looked at Meg, smiled slightly and said, It's okay, don't worry, now I can fully use the 3 series of magic. Let's go down and have a look. Don't let Grandpa Green worry. To be honest, Zhao Hai, now my impression of Meg is getting better and better. Meg is like his shadow, always standing by his side, doing everything he tells me well, and at the same time taking care of his daily life. Such a woman is really worthy of Zhao Hai's love. Zhao Hai is different from people in this world. People here in Arc Continent have lived here since they were young. Women here are generally like Meg, especially with Meg's status. She is just a maid, so naturally she has to do to this point. But this is not the case at all on Earth. Women on Earth are becoming more and more powerful. Many women have forgotten what gentleness is. They only know how to serve others. It is precisely because of this that Zhao Hai likes Meg's character very much. In fact, he found that he has fallen in love with this girl who doesn't talk much, has expressed love to him, but is a little shy. But Zhao Hai is an otaku himself and is not very good at expressing his feelings, so he has never expressed his love for Meg, and the two of them are dragging their feet. When the two of them came down from upstairs, they saw Green. Green was sitting in the living room. When he saw Zhao Hai coming down, Green rushed up to greet him and said, Master, you are ready. Zhao Hai nodded and said, Grandpa Green, how long have I been sleeping? Green said with a smile, It has been more than 5 hours. Master, are you hungry? I have asked Merlin to prepare a meal. Go and eat something. Zhao Hai smiled and said, Okay, let's go to the restaurant. I really made a lot of money this time. Now I can use the magic of the 3 series, even if I pretend to be a magician from the first series of the 3 series. There will be no problem, hahaha. Green was also very happy and said with a smile, That's great. The young master's safety will be more guaranteed in the future. But young master, you still have to practice more magic in the future. After all, being able to use these magics is one thing. It's another thing to be able to use the right magic at the right time. Zhao Hai nodded. After learning these 3 lines of magic, Zhao Hai felt even more that he had underestimated the world of Arc Continent. This world was more powerful than he imagined. This was exactly what he said. The more you know, the more scared you become. While they were talking, the 3 of them had already arrived at the restaurant. Wood and Stone were also there. The 2 of them also had a good sleep and looked full of energy. The 2 of them are inherently aggressive. They have not had a chance to take action for so long, but they were so suffocated that they went out and had a good fight this time, which made them feel refreshed and comfortable all over. When the 2 of them saw Zhao Hai coming in, they quickly said, Master. Zhao Hai nodded and said with a smile, You 2 look very happy? Do you like fighting so much? How about I let you follow Zhao Zui and the others? Forget about catching undead creatures in the carrion swamp. When the 2 of them heard what Zhao Hai said, they quickly shook their heads and said, Forget it, let's just follow the young master. Zhao Hai and Green couldn't help laughing when they looked at the 2 of them. This big victory made both Zhao Hai and Green very happy. Not only did they win, but they also won beautifully and their strength also increased greatly. Zhao Hai also had the ability to protect himself. So many good things happened one after another. Of course they are happy when it comes to them. Just as they were entering, Merlin had already come in with food. Their food was very different from before. In the past, it was usually bread or soup, but now it is different. Now there is something more like rice. Things like porridge. It can be said that what they ate before was like Western food, but now it is more like Chinese food. This also has something to do with Zhao Hai. Zhao Hai himself is not used to Western food and prefers Chinese food. Moreover, he can also cook, and Merlin gradually learned how to cook. Merlin also heard what Zhao Hai and the others said, and now he also had a smile on his face. He turned to Meg and said, Meg, go help Grandma bring the food. Master, sit down quickly. Zhao Hai smiled and sat down. Green also sat down and said to Zhao Hai, Master, Have you harvested a season of magic peaches? Zhao Hai nodded and said, I was about to say this. Before they entered the space, I collected a season of magic peaches, and the fire tench also gave birth to a baby. Haha, why, Grandpa Green, I want magic peaches now. The pit of a peach, Green said with a smile. Don't be in a hurry. This time, young master, you only planted 2 magic peach trees, and you can only harvest 4 magic peaches in total. I just discussed it with Merlin, and the young master brought 3 magic peaches. Give it to me, wood and stones. Merlin and Meg have been following the young master. They will not use the magic peach core for now. I will find an opportunity to give the remaining magic peach core to Laura, so that Laura can become the most loyal ally. Master, what do you think? Zhao Hai thought for a while and said, there is no problem with this. Anyway, I can also grow magic peaches now. As long as we wait for a while, we will have more magic peaches. I just gave them to Laura. This matter we have to do a good job and not let others know that the good magic peach core was sent from our hands, otherwise we will really die without knowing how. The magic peach core is better than the fire tench and black soil. The wasteland is the most enviable thing. What Zhao Hai said is absolutely reasonable. Although the fire ding fish is annoying, it only brings some gold coins to people. If the black soil wasteland is improved, it will only give people a piece of territory at most. These things are all it is dead. But if the magic peach appears in the world, those who have mastered the magic peach core can use the magic peach core to win over countless happy people. With these masters, they will have everything, no matter what territory, what gold coins, etc. It's no big deal, so the magic peach core is the most enviable thing. Green nodded and said, the young master is right. If people really know about the magic peach core in our hands, then we will be really in danger and will attract countless strong men in the world to hunt us down. Even if there are beings like me who have space, it will be impossible for them to move on the mainland in the future. Chapter 107 Volume 1 Chapter 107 Disappointing Interrogation. Zhao Hai nodded and said, I also know this. It is precisely because we know that we must be more careful. Laura is very important to the future development of our beauty family, but don't forget that Laura is a businessman. The time we have been in contact with her is still too short. If we make a wrong step, it will be dangerous. Green nodded and said, then let's wait a moment. When we take a good look at this Laura, and make sure that she is trustworthy, we will give him the peach core. By the way, young master, what about wood and stone? Don't give them the 2 peach seeds yet. Their strength is too low and they can't catch any decent magic pets now. We'll talk about it later when their strength is higher. Originally, he was so happy when he heard that he could get the magic peach core that he made wood and stones. But when he heard what Zhao Hai said, his face turned bitter. Zhao Hai glanced at the 2 of them, smiled slightly and said nothing. Green was right. The cultivation level of the 2 of them was still too low now. Even if they were given a powerful magic pet, they would not be able to reach the level of arms. Using their fingers will have a great impact on their cultivation. After breakfast, Zhao Hai and the others came out of the villa. Once out of the villa, Zhao Hai harvested a season of radishes and then planted a season of radishes before going to see the killer's body. Zhao Hai now has 26 acres of radishes in his space, which is enough for him to trade with Laura. However, Zhao Hai has no plans to plant anything else. Now is not the time. He has to wait to trade with Laura. Make a decision after it's over. But this time when they fought against Jialan and the others, they gave Zhao Hai a big surprise. 1,200 gold coins were found from Jialan and the others, which was really an unexpected talent. In fact, it's not just the money. You must know that Jialan's family is very rich. However, he carries a few magic crystal cards. These cards are jointly issued by several of the most famous banks in the mainland and use blood recognition. Yes, you can store your own money in the card, but only you can use it, because when you receive the card, you have to put a drop of blood on it, and this drop of blood becomes a special password for identifying the card. Only you can withdraw money if you hold the card. It is not possible for others to take the card. Zhao Hai looked at the numbers on the crystal card and his heart was bleeding. Although Jialan had been turned into an undead creature by him, he couldn't use this card at all, so the card could only be used as a waste. Zhao Hai I wanted to throw the card away, but in the end I was reluctant and threw it into the warehouse. Zhao Hai has not yet carefully seen what kind of people Jialan and the others will become after being strengthened, but he is still ready to finish the business first. Zhao Hai came to the body of the senior warrior with the evil spirit magic. With a wave of the evil spirit staff in his hand, a cloud of black energy enveloped the body of the senior warrior. This black gas is different from the black gas that kills low-level undead creatures. There is a faint flash of lightning in this black gas, as if it is a shrinking dark cloud. This is also the benefit of Zhao Hai using the evil spirit staff. When using the evil spirit staff to use magic, there is no need to recite spells at all. Zhao Hai only needs to choose which magic to use. After a while, the black air dissipated, and the space prompt sound came. The transformed robot-like object has high quality, low poison attack, medium bone hardness, extracts the advantages, strengthens the toxins, strengthens the survival ability, and strengthens the long-range attack ability. After a series of beeps, a skeleton finally appeared on the ground. This skeleton looked no different from other undead creatures in the space. Zhao Hai took a closer look, but still didn't find anything different, so he had to say, "Get up, what's your name?" The man immediately got up and saluted Zhao Hai. "Master, my name is Yuang." Zhao Hai nodded, glanced at these people and said, "Which organization do you belong to? Who is your leader?" Yuang said, "Master, I belong to the Dark Knight Killer group. Our leader is Shadow Killer, but we have another identity on the Ark continent, the Night Shadow Mercenary group. We are all Night Shadow mercenaries, members of the regiment." Zhao Hai immediately said, "Then which force does your killer group belong to?" But Yuang shook his head and said, "Master, we don't know this. We all were adopted from childhood and have been trained until we grow up. We only listen to the leader. We don't know which force we belong to." Zhao Hai couldn't help but feel disappointed, and he continued, "Then where is your headquarters? How did you accept the assassin's mission?" Yuang said, "Captain Du told us that we will kill whoever he asks us to kill. If we dare not to respond, we will die. If we dare to ask more questions, we will die. If we dare to escape, we will die." Zhao Hai and the others couldn't help but take a deep breath. Yuang's words contain the smell of endless blood and endless murderous intent. You must know that they are all high-level warriors who have reached the 7th level. Such existences, in their organization, they still kill at will. How strong is their organizational strength? Zhao Hai quickly said, "How many people are there in your organization? How many masters like you are there?" Yuang said, "We are the gold medal killers in the organization. There are 50 people like us in the organization. Before us, there were crystal killers. There were 5 crystal killers in total, and the rest were the lower-level silver medals. Killers, there are a lot of these killers. They have about the strength of the 6 samurai warriors. I don't know how many there are. Below are the bronze medal killers. These killers are just the most ordinary killers. They all have combat capabilities below the 5th level warrior." Zhao Hai and Green's expressions changed. They did not expect that the people in Yuang's organization were so powerful. There were 50 masters like Yuang alone, and there were even more powerful ones than them. There are even more masters like the 6th level samurai, there are countless of them. It's really a behemoth. Such strength is not something they can handle now. This time they only sent out Yuang and the 3 of them and ended up like this. What would happen if they sent out all the forces? The most important thing is that the other party can cultivate a group of night killers. Who knows if they will cultivate another group of night killers? If this is really the case, then Zhao Hai and the others will have no way to compete. Zhao Hai continued, "Then what is your relationship with Jailan? What is your relationship with the Versailles family?" Yuang shook his head and said, "It doesn't matter, we received the mission from the group leader. This time the mission is to cooperate with Jailan to deal with you, the master. Everything about the Versailles family is handled by Jailan. We have no relationship." Zhao Hai couldn't help but sigh in disappointment. From Yuang's words, he had already heard that Jailan was a half-gi. Unfortunately, the magic of the light system conflicted with the magic of the dark system. Otherwise, Jailan's mouth would there must be something more useful to ask here. Thinking of this, Zhao Hai waved his hand and called out the 2 brothers Jailan and Xiling. As soon as Jailan and the others appeared, Zhao Hai and Green couldn't help but be stunned, because Jailan's appearance was really a bit different from Zhao Hai's. Unexpected. The skeleton of Jailan is different from other undead creatures in the space. This skeleton is white and almost transparent. It is like being carved from a piece of pure crystal, giving people a holy feeling. A skeleton can actually give people a sense of holiness? This feels too weird, right? Zhao Hai and Green thought at the same time. Looking at the 2 heroes of Xiling, the 2 brothers are also different from other undead creatures in the space. Their skeletons are yellow, like yellow emeralds, crystal clear, very beautiful, giving people a sense of calmness like a mountain. A feeling of. At the same time, Zhao Hai also noticed that Yuang and the others gave him a different feeling from those ordinary undead creatures. Yuang gave them a cold and extremely dangerous feeling, just like a poisonous snake lurking in the darkness, ready to bite you at any moment. These skeletons seem to have an invisible temperament, which is very obvious. On the mainland, only the strong have such an obvious temperament, which can be seen at a glance. This is enough to prove that these skeletons are all strong men. In fact, after several times of strengthening, the combat effectiveness of these undead creatures in the space is already very strong. If it were the original one, the space would turn them into undead creatures, and the combat effectiveness of these undead creatures in the space would be at the beginning of level 6 at most. But now their combat effectiveness is comparable to that of the early 7th level. Zhao Hai asked Jialan a few more questions, and it turned out that Jialan's situation was the same as Zhao Qian's. His strength was still there. He could use all the light magic he knew before, but he could not remember what happened during his lifetime. Zhao Hai sighed in disappointment and sent Jialan and the others back to the warehouse. At the same time, he also changed Jialan's name. Jialan was called Zhao Dia, and the two Shiling heroes were called Zhao Shi and the other Zhao Jai. Zhao Hai, who was saved, only changed the name of the mercenary leader to Zhao Kai, and asked him to command the undead creatures turned into ordinary mercenaries and the swamp undead creatures. There were only 8 aliens, Zhao Zui and the others. Zhao Jia, Zhao Shi, Zhao Jai, Yu Wang and the undead creatures transformed by those dead soldiers are not under his control. Zhao Hai has long discovered that Zhao Zui and the others are not qualified commanders. They are black magicians and have never commanded people to fight. They only command undead creatures and they swarm them, just like gangsters fighting. This way you won't be able to develop much combat effectiveness. Zhao Kai was different. Zhao Kai seemed to have a lot of knowledge about marching and fighting, so Zhao Hai directly asked him to command the undead creatures. In this way, Zhao Zui and the others were liberated, and Yu Wang and the others were proficient in the art of assassination. They control the undead creatures that the dead soldiers turned into, so that they can exert their maximum combat effectiveness. With this statistics, Zhao Hai's combat power is already quite high, but Zhao Hai doesn't want to be too arrogant. After arranging these things, he sent Zhao Jia and the others back to the warehouse in space, and also used his previous the stone giant summoned by the evil spirit staff has been released. Now the evil spirit staff can use 3 series of magic, and there is no limit on the number of times that the evil spirit staff can summon the stone giant. Naturally, Zhao Hai does not need this big guy standing there. Chapter 108 Volume 1 Chapter 108 The Way of the World Chapter 108 This world. After finishing all the matters in the space, Zhao Hai asked Zhao Zui and the others to go to Taishan Castle again, and asked Zhao Kai to lead those people to follow Zhao Zui and the others into the swamp. Zhao Kai and Zhao Bian led the 500 undead creatures. Stay behind. Among the 500 undead creatures, let Zhao Jia, Zhao Shi, Zhao Jai and Yu Wang lead the 200 undead creatures transformed from ordinary mercenaries and the 100 undead creatures. The undead creature transformed by the dead men stayed at Qingxi Villa in Luanqi Mountain, while Zhao Hai, Green and the others were waiting here at Qingxi Villa. The most important thing for Zhao Hai to come to Qingxi Villa is to ask those people to bring the blue-eyed rabbits. After they have raised the blue-eyed rabbits, they will only be waiting for Laura. Zhao Hai is still very confident in cooperating with Laura. Anyway, they are kind to Laura and they don't want anything from Laura. It can be said that Laura is just one of his dealers. This is also true for Laura. Very beneficial. The goods Zhao Hai bought for Laura were all available on the mainland, but the ones he bought must be of the best quality, and the price he bought was not expensive, so Laura could sell it at the market price. Laura's quality is better and the price is not high, so her sales volume will naturally be large. The most important thing is that she does not only buy these kinds of goods. If others come to him and buy such things, then when you need other things, you will naturally come to him to buy them. In this way, the overall sales of all Laura's products will be much higher than others. Zhao Hai understands this, so he is thinking about cooperating with Laura. There is kindness and benefit. This kind of cooperation should last for a long time. When Zhao Hai and others arrived at Qingxi Villa, it was already broad daylight. They fought with Jialan and others in the middle of the night. They fought for more than 2 hours in total. After returning, Zhao Hai rested for more than 5 hours. After getting up, they ate and did other things for more than an hour. By the time they actually arrived at Qingxi Villa from space, it was already past 9 o'clock in the morning. The Bluestone Villa was still shrouded in a layer of black fog, and it was impossible to see clearly what was inside. This time, Zhao Hai called Zhao Feng and Zhao Chong to the Bluestone Villa and asked them to support the black fog technique here. Although Zhao Hai can do it himself now, he doesn't like staying here at Qingxi Villa. If he has time, he will either stay in the space or go to Taishan Castle to visit, so he still needs to leave 2 masters here. Black Magic Man. Last time Zhao Hai left Zhao Kai and Zhao Lin here, and Zhao Feng and Zhao Chong stayed at Iron Mountain Castle. This time Zhao Hai asked them to change positions, and asked them to improve both places. Therefore, Zhao Hai can rest assured no matter where they are left in the future. It is also very necessary for Zhao Kai and the others to understand the terrain. Only by understanding the terrain can they exert their strongest combat effectiveness. In addition, now that Zhao Jia and the others are here in Qingxi Mountain, Zhao Haidao is very relieved. To be honest, Zhao Hai is not very worried about Iron Mountain Castle. It is in the deepest part of the Black Soil Wasteland. Most people will not go there. The only ones that can pose a threat are the monsters in the Carrion Swamp. Now that there are 2 more portals in the space, people there can be brought into the space in the shortest time, so Zhao Hai is not worried about the safety of the people there. On the contrary, the situation here at Qingxi Villa is different. Qingxi Villa is located on the outskirts of Kasa City. If we send troops from Kasa City, it will take about 2 days to reach the foot of Qingxi Villa. This is very important to Zhao Hai. To them it is a huge threat. Although they can also bring all the people in Qingxi Villa into the space, in this case, Qingxi Villa will no longer belong to them, and they need this stronghold very much. Zhao Hai can use space to mobilize troops to guard Qingxi Villa, but he does not want to expose his power so early. That will only make the Versailles family pay more attention to them. The most important thing is that there is a mysterious the forces have been staring at them, which also makes Zhao Hai feel very uneasy. It can be said that Zhao Hai is a very insecure person. It is precisely because of this that he arranged Zhao Jia and the others to come to Qingxi Villa. He knew that there are still people watching here, and more people will be watching in the future. The more they killed Jialan and his group yesterday, not only would those people not pay attention to them, on the contrary, those people would pay more attention to them. If they start trading with Laura soon, there will be more people paying attention to them. And those people will definitely check where their goods come from. It is precisely because of this that there must be something in Bluestone Villa. Be well guarded. Qingxi Villa is too important to Zhao Hai and the others. It is the only tentacle for the Buddha tribe to reach the outside world. It is the only way for them to understand the outside world, obtain supplies from the outside world, and sell their own things to the outside world. Don't think about it. It is useless to come out from the black soil plug. Although it seems that no one is in charge of it, if the Buddha family dares to come out from there, the Versailles family will definitely take action immediately, so Qingxi Villa is in the eyes of Zhao Hai and the others. It's especially important. Now Zhao Hai said that with the power of Shiyuan, it is very easy to defend the Bluestone Villa. As long as no one knows that they are members of the Buddha family, it will not be a problem to defend the Bluestone Villa. The Buddha family is definitely a taboo in the Aksu Empire. All the old nobles in the empire do not want the Buddha family to come back to life. As long as they find the Buddha family coming out of the black soil wasteland, they will definitely suppress it with all their strength. Zhao Hai has no confidence. With this little power in his hand, he can save the Buddha family. But as long as Zhao Hai doesn't reveal his identity as a Buddha family, with his current strength, no one is willing to provoke him. Firstly, because he is a black magician, and no one is willing to provoke a black magician. He is also very powerful, so no one wants to provoke him. When people on the mainland think of a black magician, they will think of one thing: a poisonous snake, a highly poisonous snake. You, the black magician, are a highly poisonous snake, and Zhao Hai and the others are like a coiled snake on the Rocky Mountain. There is a highly venomous snake on the mountain. This venomous snake can bite people. Even if it cannot bite people, it can still maim them. The most important thing is that even if you kill this snake, you will get nothing. Well, in this case, no one would want to mess with this snake, especially after Zhao Hai and the others dealt with Jialan and his group. I believe that there are very few people who dare to mess with them. This time Jialan and the others suffered heavy losses, including an 8th level light magician, 2 7th level magicians, and others. A powerful earth magician, 3 7th level warriors, 100 dead warriors, and 200 mercenaries with cultivation levels around the 5th level. This kind of power is equivalent to a small family. It can be said that the death of Jialan and the others is a powerful deterrent to those who want to deal with Zhao Hai. Those who want to deal with Zhao Hai should think more before taking action. Zhao Hai stood under the ginkgo tree in the backyard of Qingxi Villa, looking at the fire dinkai swimming in the ditch. He did not collect all the fire ding fish into the space. As soon as the fire ding fish entered the space, there is no freedom, and it is completely digitized. It can be said that the fire ding fish in the space are not real fire ding fish in Zhao Hai's eyes. It is more like a game, and the fire ding fish here are just like a living life. Zhao Hai sighed, looked up at the sky that had become gloomy due to the black mist technique, and felt even more depressed. He really didn't like fighting and just wanted to live his own life peacefully, hoping that no one would disturb him. He is good. Meg stood next to Zhao Hai. When she heard Zhao Hai sigh, she couldn't help but asked curiously, "What's wrong, young master? What are you sighing for?" Zhao Hai turned to look at this sweet-looking girl. Meg was still holding Jialan's demon's sealing iron scroll in her hand. Zhao Hai said that if he gave this book to her, he would give it to her. He can't use it now, and the demon sealing iron scroll has been strengthened by space. Now it can be used as a staff, which is even easier to use than a staff. Meg likes it so much that she can't even sleep. Hold! Zhao Hai looked at Merlin and smiled bitterly. Meg, do you think why people love fighting so much? I don't want to fight with those people. I just want to make myself and the people around me live a good life through my own efforts, but they're here to force you to fight them. Why is that? The way Meg looked at Zhao Hai, she couldn't see any shadow of the past Adam in the current Zhao Hai. The past Adam was a playboy, ignorant, lustful, timid and afraid of getting into trouble. Almost everything can be used on him. But now Zhao Hai is a kind-hearted person who dares to take responsibility, but also a little sentimental. These are two completely different personalities, two completely different people, but Meg really likes this kind of Zhao Hai, and did not like the original Adam. Meg looked at Zhao Hai and sighed. Master, it's not that you don't want to fight, others won't mess with you. As long as you touch their interests, as long as you become a stumbling block for them, those people will kick you away without hesitation. In their eyes, we people are nothing, just like weeds on the roadside. We are not in their eyes at all. In their eyes, we are nothing. Profit for profit, they can do anything. Zhao Hai looked up at the sky and murmured, profit, yes, benefit, for benefit, they dared to do anything, can do anything, and do anything. This world, haha. Meg didn't know what to say anymore, she just sighed in her heart and said to herself, yes, in this world. Just then there was a sound of footsteps. Chapter 109 Volume 1 Chapter 109 Zhao Hai and Meg followed the sound, and it was Green. Green was now wearing his armor again, covering his whole body tightly. However, this armor, when worn on his body, did not make any difference at all. He didn't look cumbersome either. His footsteps were just like those of a normal person, even lighter than many warriors. Green has also received some benefits in space. His strength has now reached the peak level of an 8th level warrior. As long as he waits for an opportunity, he can break through and become a 9th level warrior. He will be one of the most powerful in the world. Any big family will have a top master in the battle, otherwise the family will not be able to escape the bad luck of being swallowed up. The Buddha family is an example. Although Green and Merlin are 8th level experts, their cultivation level has not reached level 9, so those big families dare to take action against the Buddha family. Although the 8th level experts are very powerful, they are not invincible. The reason why those people gave up on dealing with the Buddha family in the end was because of the presence of Green and Merlin. One of them was a demon and the other a martial artist. They were both 8th level strong men. Even if they were besieged by several 9th level strong men, it would still be possible in the end. Once an 8th level strongman escapes, he will face endless revenge. This is something no big family wants to see. It is precisely because of this that the big families do not dare to force Green and Merlin to fight hard. If they really start to fight hard, it will not be easy for them. When Zhao Hai saw Green coming, he hurriedly greeted him and said, Grandpa Green, are you here? They were now waiting for the people from the Macedal Chamber of Commerce to deliver the rabbits Green bought, so Zhao Hai asked. Green nodded and said, it's already here. For 100 gold coins, I bought a total of 300 blue-eyed rabbits. For the remaining 10 gold coins, I bought 5 wildebeest cars. These 5 cars are specially designed for use to pull things. The scaly wildebeest is a very common monster on the mainland. It is very strong and does not run very fast. It is most suitable for carrying things. Zhao Hai nodded. He needs too many things now. Although he can ask the Macedal Chamber of Commerce to help transport some small things, it is really not worth using the gold medal to ask the Macedal Chamber of Commerce to help. There are a car like a wildebeest would be nice too. The most important thing is that with these scaly wildebeests, he can breed a large number of scaly wildebeests. In the future, buying scaly wildebeests will also be a kind of income. Zhao Hai said to Green, Grandpa Green, let those undead creatures drive the carriage into the villa. Those people from the Macedal Trading Company who helped can be sent away with a small tip from them. Green nodded and said, okay, I'll make arrangements right away. He did not object to Zhao Hai using undead creatures to drive the carriage. Zhao Hai is a black magician and a famous black magic summoner. It's normal for him to use undead creatures to do things. If he doesn't use undead creatures, it would be abnormal. This is also a practice of black magicians. If there is a kind of magician on the mainland who never borrows slaves, it must be a black magician. They can summon some undead creatures such as skeletons to work for themselves. These things are more useful than slaves. If there is a kind of magician on the mainland who always borrows servants, it must be a black magician, because a black magician is so weird that everyone is afraid that after becoming a servant to him, one day he will be unhappy and destroy himself. turned into an undead creature, so no one wants to be a servant to the black magician. The undead creatures currently left by Zhao Hai in Kingshan Manor are all humanoid, so it is normal to send some to help Green drive the car. Sean is a small steward of the Machadal trading company in the Principality of Versailles. His main task is to manage people and some porters in the trading company. He does not have a great status in the trading company. But Sean also has another identity. He is a secret agent of the Machadal family who is responsible for inquiring about information. His way of inquiring about information is also very special. He does not take the initiative to inquire about information, but uses the goods he carries, gathered some useful information from it. This may seem difficult, but in fact it is not. Compared with today when they have to help Archduke Versailles move some things, even if those things are wrapped, they can still pass through the size and weight of the things. Let's take a big risk to estimate what it is so that we can collect some information. Machadal Trading Company is a well-known trading firm on the mainland and has cooperative relationships with many people. They are very busy with their transportation work. No one will really pay attention to these little people, so some of the information they have collected is it really comes in handy sometimes. No one on the mainland had heard of the name Zhao Hai before, and neither had Sean. However, recently, this name has become a household name in the Principality of Versailles. Even beggars know it. What caught Sean's attention the most was that this Zhao Hai had the VIP gold medal from Machadal Trading Company in his hand, and the Bona Flower gold medal was not fake. In other words, it was rumored some time ago that this Zhao Hai saved their eldest Lady Lao. What happened is true. This made him pay more attention to Zhao Hai. This time Green went to buy something and came to Machadal Trading Company to help with transportation. He immediately won the task and enthusiastically helped Green load the blue-eyed rabbit into the carriage and transport it. Arrive at Rock Mountain. Along the way, Sean was trying to find ways to please Green. He arranged everything well, just to gain Green's favor. It would be best if he could go to Rock Mountain with Green. Now everyone in the Principality of Versailles knows that there is a very powerful and mysterious black magician living in the Rock Mountain. As soon as this black magician arrived at the Rock Mountain, he used black magic to surround the entire Rock Mountain. No one knows what's going on inside. It is precisely because of not knowing that there are various rumors in Casa City. Some say that the black magician is practicing powerful black magic there and is preparing to attack Casa City one day. Some say that the black magician is they collected human corpses there, practiced a kind of evil magic, and said that the black magician used the hot springs there to wash away the sins on his body. Anyway, there were various rumors, but none of them said anything good. But Sean knew that what these people said was not true. In a big city like Casa City, not to mention an ordinary black magician, even 100 black magicians would not dare to attack. And being in a big business like Machadal, Sean still knows the black magicians very well. He knows very well that the black magicians are not as scary as the rumors outside. They may act a little weird, but that's not the case with them. The magic you practice has something to do with it. In fact, many black magicians are good people, and many methods of treating trauma on the mainland were created by black magicians. It can be said that black magicians are no more helpful to people than white magicians. Bad, but the white magicians on the mainland, now also called light magicians, are very popular, while the black magicians are the least popular. But these have nothing to do with Sean. What he is most concerned about now is Zhao Hai's situation. He wants to know more about Zhao Hai's situation, so he wants to enter the Rock Mountain to have a look. In fact, Sean does not belong to the Machadal family. He is a force belonging to Laura. The Machadal family is a free family, and Laura's father, Karen, is the second-in-line heir to the Machadal family. It is said that this is the case. The existence of identity should not only be allocated to a small principality like the Principality of Versailles for management, but Karen is really not good at management, so he was only assigned to a small place like the Principality of Versailles. But what everyone didn't expect was Laura. She was actually very good at running a business. She managed the Chamber of Commerce branch in a small place like the Principality of Versailles with great success, and she had a large number of confidants in each store. Zhao An is one of them. Karen doesn't care about things, Sean, and the others are arranged by Laura, and they have only one loyal object, Laura. It is precisely because of this that Sean is so concerned about Zhao Hai's affairs, because Zhao Hai and Laoshi has had contact with Laura, and Sean wants to know what kind of intentions this Zhao Hai has for Laura and what kind of person he is. However, what Sean didn't expect was that when they were less than a day away from the Rock Mountain, Green would abandon them and run away, only asking them to transport their things down the Rock Mountain. Although Sean didn't know why Green bought so many rabbits, he didn't ask any more questions because he knew very well that there were some things he shouldn't ask. When Sean and the others arrived at the foot of the Rock Mountain, they saw that the entire Rock Mountain was shrouded in a black mist. The visibility was less than 1 meter, making it impossible to see clearly what was going on the mountain. Although this black mist is very strange, Sean knows that this black mist technique is not offensive, it just blocks people's sight. Sean and the others arrived at the foot of the mountain, but they didn't know what to do. As they were entering, they suddenly heard a burst of footsteps. Along with the footsteps, there were also bursts of creaking sounds. This sound was very unpleasant, as if someone was grinding two bones hard to make a sound. Sean and his men couldn't help but trembled when they heard this sound, and then they saw Green appearing in front of them wearing a suit of armor. Sean didn't know Green's name. He only knew that this warrior was a follower of those magicians, and he was very powerful. It was this warrior who had always been in contact with them. As soon as Sean saw Green, he was about to meet him, but his steps suddenly stopped and his face suddenly turned pale because he saw the undead creatures following Green. This time Green brought 20 undead creatures to help drive the car. These undead creatures are all ordinary mercenaries. However, after being strengthened by space, their combat effectiveness is also good, and their intelligence is similar to that of normal people. They are just dressed in dark green. The skeleton looked hideous and terrifying. Chapter 110 Volume 1 Chapter 110 Maximizing the Power of Cavalry. It is precisely because these undead creatures are dark green and look so scary that Sean feels scared. These undead creatures are not easy to mess with at first sight. Green also noticed the expressions of Sean and the others and said in a deep voice, "Don't be nervous, everyone, these are the summoned creatures of my crazy family. Okay, everyone has sent your things here. The mission has been successfully completed and you can go back to deliver. Sean, take these gold coins back and divide them among the brothers." Green gave Sean 5 gold coins, which was not a small amount. You must know that there were only 10 people coming with Sean this time, which means that each of these people can get 5 silver coins. This is a big deal for these porters, which is a considerable fortune. However, Sean was not happy at all. Although he took the gold coins, he still said, "Dear Master Samurai, let us help you drive the car up the mountain?" Green shook his head and said, "Forget it, my husband doesn't like others to disturb his cleaning work. You can go back." After saying that, he ignored Sean and the others and waved his hands. The undead creatures came over immediately and drove the 4 carriages to rush to the mountains. Green glanced at Sean, his eyes flashed coldly and said, "Sean, don't blame me for not reminding you that the mountain can be home to many undead creatures summoned by Sir. If you enter at will, you will be attacked. Go home honestly." After saying that, he ignored Sean and the others, turned around and entered the rocky mountain shrouded in black mist. After 2 steps, he was nowhere to be seen. Sean was stunned when he heard Green's words and then his face changed. He already knew that Green must have found out that he wanted to find out about them, so that's why he said this. When he thought of this, Sean couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Sean can only be a 4th level warrior. Although he doesn't know what level of warrior Green is, he is certain that Green's level must be much higher than him. Trying to kill him is about the same as strangling an ant. Sean immediately turned to the porters who came with him and said, "Let's go back." After saying that, he turned around and walked towards Casa City. Now his face was pale and he was really scared. Green had long discovered that there was something wrong with Sean. This Sean was too active, as if he was specially made to show off to others and he would hang around him when nothing happened. This made Green suspicious. Green knows that their identities are very sensitive now and they must not be seen out, otherwise they will be in danger, so Green pays great attention to Sean. Although he did not notice any unusual behavior in Sean, he hit him anyway. Now there are 50 dead soldiers and undead creatures lurking around the rock mountain. They are just afraid of being attacked again. Last time, if Zhao Hai hadn't sent the message in advance, they would have been really in danger. Green and the others drove the carriages to the villa. There were 5 carriages in total, and each carriage contained 60 rabbits. These rabbits did not look much different from the rabbits on the earth, but they were fatter than the rabbits on the earth. The eyes are just blue. These rabbits were packed in wooden cages. 30 wooden cages were installed on each vehicle, with a pair of rabbits in each wooden cage. Fortunately, this was a 4-wheeled carriage, otherwise it would really not be able to fit in it. Zhao Hai stood in the yard and looked at these carriages. The scaly wildebeest was very tall, about 2 meters tall. It had a layer of fish scales on its body, but these scales grew individually. Each piece is about the size of a fingernail, and there are some fine hairs growing between the scales, which makes people feel uncomfortable. The big horses have a pair of curved horns on their heads, a bit like the wildebeests on Earth, but their bodies are tall and strong, and the muscle lines on their bodies are not as smooth as those horses on Earth that Zhao Hai has seen. On the contrary, it looks a bit like a cow. Its legs are not very long and its running speed may not be that fast, but its endurance should be good. Zhao Hai looked at the scaly wildebeest. He felt that this thing should not be called a horse but a cow. However, others called it that, so why not call it a bark? Green smiled and said to Zhao Hai, Master, what do you think of this scaly wildebeest? Zhao Hai nodded and said with a smile, it's good for pulling things. Okay, Grandpa Green, let's unload all these things. Green immediately pulled the undead creatures and unloaded all the things. Zhao Hai opened their cages again, and then took all the blue-eyed rabbits into the space. As soon as these blue-eyed rabbits entered the space prompt sound immediately came. New creature found. Identify the grade. The animal is a mammal, Lagomorpha, Leporidae, variant long-eared rabbit, grade 3. The animal is digitized and can be found in breeding. Rabbits are raised in space pastures and can be purchased at the space store. The maturation time of young rabbits is 10 hours and the birth interval is 8 hours. There are 5 births in total. Each rabbit has 10 litters and a little feed every 4 hours. Due to genetic variation, the rabbits can spit out water arrows to attack. The number of attacks is 5, the attack range is 10 meters, the attack level is low, and it will not be withdrawn. Zhao Hai is still very satisfied with the identification of blue-eye rabbits in the space. They are similar to ordinary rabbits. Although they can only be produced 5 times, they still have an output of 50, and the growth time in the space is very short. In this way it won't be long before they can set up a breeding farm. At this time, Green and the others also unloaded the scaly wildebeest from the car and brought it to Zhao Hai. Zhao Hai also took the horse into the space. As soon as the scaly wildebeest entered the space prompt sound immediately came. New creature found. Identify the grade. The animal is a mammal. The wildebeest is a mutated wildebeest, level 3. The animal is digitized and can be raised in the space ranch. Can be purchased in the space store. The maturation time of the young horse is 12 hours and the birth interval is 8 hours. A total of 5 litters are produced, each with 5 litters, and a little feed every 2 hours. Due to genetic variation, it can change on the body. Stone armor, lasting 2 hours, defense level, low. Zhao Hai couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. The scaly wildebeest is really good. It is indeed digital. If it were outside, this horse would not be able to give birth to 5 cubs in 1 litter, and the time from birth to birth would only be more than a dozen hours. Really good stuff. When Green and the others saw that Zhao Hai had collected the rabbits and horses, they all looked at him intently, wanting to see what Zhao Hai's expression was like. When they saw Zhao Hai's face was filled with joy, they were relieved. Green quickly said to Zhao Hai, Master, should we go to the space to see those horses and rabbits? Zhao Hai turned to look at Green and the others, and found that Green and the others were looking at him expectantly. He couldn't help but smile and said, Okay, let's go and have a look. After saying this, he felt moved in his heart and put Green and the others away. Now there are only Green and Meg around Zhao Hai. Wood, Stone and Merlin have all gone to the castle and the slaves have also gone there. There are still a lot of things for them to do there. Zhao Hai took the time to go to Taishan Canyon, improved another 100 acres of land, and planted another 100 acres of corn. Now they don't have a boat, so Zhao Hai can only do it himself. Zhao Hai took Green and Meg directly into the space ranch. As soon as they entered the space ranch, they were stunned because it still seemed too spacious. The relationship was that the ranch was too big. Although these 300 rabbits were smaller than the rabbits on the earth, it needs to be big, but not too big. When this area is in the pasture, if it is blocked by the grass, nothing can be seen. When Zhao Hai saw this situation, he was very impatient, but he did not forget to add feed to these blue-eyed rabbits and scaly wildebeests. He directly added 10,000 kilograms of radish leaves. The space automatically transformed these radish leaves into 10,000 points of feed turned into grass on the ground, allowing the blue-eyed rabbits and scaly wildebeest to eat by themselves. Seeing the rabbits and horses running everywhere, Green couldn't help but smile bitterly and said to Zhao Hai, Master, is this okay? These things are getting more and more across the road, and it will be difficult for us to catch them in the future. Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, Just watch. After saying this, he thought about it and called up the team setting tool. As soon as he called up this tool, the rabbits and horses ran to Zhao Hai and formed a line. The square team stood there quietly, like soldiers waiting for review. Green and Meg both looked at this blankly. They really didn't expect that there was such a function in the space. Zhao Hai smiled slightly, waved his hand, and the rabbits and horses ran away again. Green looked at the rabbit and horse running away, and couldn't help but murmured, This space has so many functions. It can actually line up these things. The queue is even better than those of soldiers. When Meg heard what Green said, she couldn't help but smile and said to Green, Grandpa, you said that, haha. Green came back to his senses and smiled slightly. I'm not talking nonsense. There are many armies now that are really not as good at standing as these animals. When he said this, he suddenly froze for a moment, as if he thought of something, and then glanced twice. As soon as he lit up, he turned to Zhao Hai and said, Master, can this ability of lining up animals be used outside? Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment and murmured, I really don't know about this. Let me ask. Then Zhao Hai said to the space, can the formation setting function be used outside the space? The space prompt immediately said, the formation setting function can be taken outside the space for use, but the animals targeted must have survived in the space. This time, Zhao Hai didn't need to say anything. Green also understood. Green couldn't help laughing and said, that's great, that's great. Zhao Hai and Meg were still a little confused, and Meg even said coquettishly, Grandpa, what are you talking about? What's so good? Seeing the puzzled looks on the two of them, Green couldn't help but smile slightly and said, think about it, as long as the animals that have been in the space can line up like just now, if we form a knight, those cavalry can also line up like just now. They line up and charge together, and they can maintain their formation during the charge. How powerful do you think this cavalry will be? Although Zhao Hai and Meg didn't understand military matters, their eyes lit up when they heard what Green said. Everyone knew that the cavalry was very powerful, but the cavalry also had one of the most difficult problems to solve, which was the problem of riding animals. People can abide by discipline, but riding animals cannot. Even at the beginning, the formation was very neat, but it was over as soon as they started running. If this formation has a function, it can really make the cavalry start running. And if the formation can be maintained, the power of the cavalry will increase exponentially.
Thanks for joining Fanfiction Reader. If you enjoyed it, hit subscribe and come back for more fan-made adventures.